Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 4Player Podcast. My name is Nick Henderson. I am a writer and co-founder over at 4Player Network. If this is your first time listening, please look for us on iTunes and subscribe. Doing so will keep you up to date with not only this podcast, but our sister shows Cocktail Time and Audible Impressions as well. If you haven't already, swing by the website at 4playernetwork.com and join our gaming community by signing up for a free account. And last but not least, please don't forget to tune in every night over at 4pp.tv to watch us broadcast games, record podcasts, and interact with the community. But enough about that, it's time to talk about video games. Let's get started.
With hey guys. Hey everybody, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 309. It is March 12th, 2013. My name is Nick Henderson. To my right is Brad Simons.
That's me, Brad.
Nolan Hedstrom is sitting across from me as usual.
How's it going, guys? I'm Nolan.
And Christopher Guthridge sitting to my left.
Hello.
At the round or square table.
It is a round table. It just has
rounded
squared edges.
It's got rounded
No, I think
corners.
you had it backwards. It's a square table with rounded edges.
It was originally a circle, and then they just yeah.
But then they
it took off a little too much.
Those corners are really pointy, so they just dulled them down.
We've already wasted too much time talking about the table that we're sitting
You
at.
brought it up.
I know I did. Anywho, we have a lot to talk about this week. We have impressions of Tomb Raider. A lot of Tomb Raider to discuss. We've all been playing it quite a bit. Chris and I played The Last of Us. We'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe some Revengeance for good measure. I finished that game, so we'll talk about that.
And a brief 2 hours about Fire Emblem to round it out.
That's.
How far are you in Fire Emblem?
I got farther.
So that's exciting. So did I. I finished one battle, so therefore I am farther than I was last week.
No, but I don't know if I told you, I did class up Donald to a mercenary, and now he's just an ungodly badass.
So by the way, that was not an opening to start talking about Fire Emblem.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry,
still has
we're
a
done.
pot on his head, though, right?
Yeah, he does. He's got like armor and a sword now, but he's still wearing like a golden pod on his head.
Makes
I'm
sense
sorry.
to me.
No, Fire Emblem.
Oh, Fire Emblem.
Silly.
Yeah, I think I'm on chapter 15.
I think I haven't.
Have you not finished that game already?
Like
No.
12, 9.
I mean, believe it or not, I don't have a shit ton of time to play. Even though I spent like 35 hours, I still don't have a shit time to play Fire Emblem.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's not talk about Fire Emblem and instead
Fair enough.
talk about what everybody came here to hear about, DMC DLC.
No!
Yeah.
You don't want to just get that out of the way? I played that yesterday.
But I'm telling you, half a DLC is worth nothing in terms of
Wait,
content.
what is the total
It's
length
either
of the
all or
DLC?
none.
I played for about an hour and a half. There are things that I can infer from the hour and a half that I played.
I think people want to hear about The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah, they will. They'll just have to wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Here's the thing. I just want to talk about it for a second, Brad. It's okay. DMC. It's a game I thoroughly enjoyed. Yes, we talked about it back in January. Downloaded the DLC Virgil's Downfall, which was the free DLC that came with the game if you pre-ordered
No,
it, I
it's
guess.
free,
It's,
so-
well, I played it for
You
free.
pre-ordered it.
I'm sure you can buy it for $10
$15?
or $15, which I will say right now, not worth it.
$10 or $15.
I don't know.
God forbid he have motivations in the actual game.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing, like the motivate, like you said before we started the show, I was kind of playing this to fill in that backstory, which is I would assume why most people would go and play a DLC starring Virgil. And unfortunately, the DLC suffers from like severe corner cutting because like all the cutscenes, all the story stuff that you would normally be interested in watching are purely like animated comic book style kind of cutscenes, and they're kind of poorly acted. They don't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't even understand what the fuck is really happening.
They're not like animated at all. It's just like
They have movement.
frames or
It's like those like Metal Gear like animated comic things you can like watch on your PSP. That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's not very good. I don't know. It's just it's not paying off. Now Virgil as a character, at first I was playing him and I was like, this feels terrible because he has no guns, which kind of
He's never had guns, though.
I know he's never had guns, but
He has swords.
yeah, he has swords,
Magical swords.
Well, I never.
That he shoots.
What was
That's
his?
implied.
What was his extra? Like, what did he use in Devil May Cry 3 when you played as him?
Magical swords. You shot him.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't play as him. The thing is, it's like when you start this DLC out, he is slow and weak as fuck. Like, it's not even fun to play. Like, after about 30 minutes, I was literally planning on turning the game off. And then you eventually
Maybe it's because you had been playing so much Rising, which isn't slow and.
No. I mean, the
Not
thing is,
slow at all.
noticeable. There is a noticeable step down from Dante to Virgil at the outset of the DLC. But when you get to some random point in the quote unquote story that unlocks his like angel and devil modes, or whatever, and all of a sudden combat is like 50 times faster and actually fun. So that was pretty cool. And his like movement mechanic is like switched between, instead of being like the it's the same kind of thing as Dante has, where you can like pull yourself or like or pull them towards you, right?
Yeah.
But you can like do this like sweet dash move and like teleport and shit all over the map, which
Does
is pretty
his sword turn into different things like Dante's?
cool. No.
Did you just say you shit all over the map?
No. I said you can teleport and shit all over the map.
You can teleport
Yes,
and
I did
you can
say
shit all over the
I
map.
did say you can shit
I know
all
you
over the
haven't
map.
finished this DLC, but
Probably not going to because
what
Well, I mean, I don't know.
is it going to fill in?
It's not very high on my priority list, I'll tell you
I'm-
that.
Okay, well, so the game's called Virgil's Downfall. Also, if you're familiar with DMC, you know that Virgil's a bad guy.
Yes.
My question is,
Is this DLC his downfall?
yeah. Well,
I thought it was going to
my
be
question is it going to actually fill in the motivations for his sort of comical or comic booky
like-
turn at the end of
No,
DMC?
like, the way they're handling it though is that
Just like,
Like-
I'm actually evil.
I thought it was
It was handled so poorly.
No, I thought it was like going to be a prequel showing why he kind of has
It's not that?
No, it
No.
picks up at the end of the end
Well,
of the
then who-
original game. Exactly, that's my point. And they're like the motivations they're giving him is like he drops into some like parallel universe, and there's this some weird devil guy talking to him and taunting him, and then you chase a shadow of Dante around the map. Like it's not very creative or exciting.
Okay, well, there's people in chat who actually finished this piece of DLC. They're saying
A lot of it, and
it does.
I think
does?
I think you confuse the words DLC with shit.
No, I don't. And
Well,
like,
I mean, I don't
and
know.
gameplay wise, it's like any illusion of like length to this DLC is purely the fact that they throw you into big areas and then just throw waves of dudes at you, and you don't move on for like
Uninspired DLC. That's new.
I'm just talking.
I'm just saying, like
It's not-
that's not a surprise. I
There
doubt
is-
anybody was expecting some sort of fully fleshed out game experience.
I don't know. It could have been like I was kind of expecting this to be something that was in the original game that they pulled out and sold separately, but it feels more like they finished the game. And they're like, let's just reuse some assets and switch some stuff around and then put
Also
this
some
out.
color
And that's
palettes.
more what it feels like. So I don't know.
Is it-
Not really? I
well-
mean, I'll probably sit down and finish it. probably have like an hour left, but it doesn't feel very satisfying to me.
Well, tell us about The Last of Us.
That was pretty good.
Let's hear about
So,
that.
what did y'all play? Did y'all play something that hasn't been previewed before?
Yes.
Yeah,
or-
It was
a full level from about a third of the way into the game or something.
Yeah, and
like
it
that.
was an actual level where you're fighting nothing but the infected.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's two specific enemy types. It's the runners and the clickers.
Yeah, so the clickers are.
Clickers.
So you remember in the first trailer for The Last of Us that when they first get chased in that room, there's the guy with his face is all split open, looks like a giant thing of fungus. Those are the clickers, and they communicate with other enemies via echolocation, and they hunt their prey via echolocation. So
It's
they-
like,
Whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
their head is encased in that fungus, so they can't see anything. They use that to move around the environment. So the benefit being, like, if you're in a dark area with them, you can use your flashlight and they can't notice that. However, they can always find you just by echolocation.
so if you
which-
make noise,
Yeah, if
if
you,
you hit a dude, or you,
Technically,
or even if you're just
so they
sitting
can-
there
yeah,
and they come
if-
up, like
if
they can hear.
If it's
they can-
echolocation, they can
Yeah.
find you no matter what you're doing.
Yeah,
Wait,
so you have to be
it's
extra careful
echolocation.
about like moving
Wait, wait,
around.
wait.
But
Is echolocation they're just fancy PR word
Yeah,
for
that's-
they can hear you?
No,
no.
I mean,
that's not how echolocation works.
like
man.
What the fuck
they
is
don't-
Echolocation is when
It's
you
like they click
and it makes a
to
noise.
send out a
So
sound.
noise waves go out and they reverberate. They bounce off of things, and depending on how the sound comes back, you can tell if something's there or not.
Oh,
That's
so
how,
So if
like,
you're hiding behind cover, they can't see you, but
Yeah.
or they can't hear you.
So
quote unquote.
echolocation is not a made up PR term. It's
No,
something
no,
that
they're actually
exists.
doing because
that's
they
what
won't
like dolphins and whales use.
I thought they called that like what did they
That
call
is
it?
echolocation.
Echo the
They call it
dolphin.
echolocation.
Speaking Austin.
Wait, is that why that game is called Echo?
Probably.
Yeah, I would imagine,
Brad, how
right?
did- Really?
Like ECCO?
Yes.
Well,
No.
EC,
No, ECH.
Echolocation.
Echolocation.
Okay, because Echo the
ECCO
dolphin is
is
EC.
Echo. Yeah.
Okay.
The dolphin.
Oh, so is it like a pun?
Maybe.
I guess
don't know.
it's like Echo and
I thought that was like
mixed,
sonar
like,
or something.
like the word.
That's what like
Sonar
people
is
use.
is the mechanical equivalent
Yeah.
of echolocation.
So it's movement.
Yes, judged
No.
by sound waves.
It's not movement. It has nothing to do with movement.
They use it to like map out the environment.
So it's just a fancy word to
Hey.
say the zombies know where you are.
You know what? You know what Batman used in The Dark Knight at the end of the little thing, and he like mapped. He could see the environment by the way sound bounced off the walls, and he could see like an entire map of the. That's echolocation.
So they know where you are.
Yes, they know where you
In
are.
short.
With science.
So
Yes.
does that mean if you're like hiding behind cover, it doesn't matter?
No, if they're hiding
No.
behind cover, they can't see you because all they see is the cover.
If they're on the other side of the cover and they send out their little click,
I'm just trying to understand what the fuck is the difference between echolocation of these zombies and just
Brett,
the line of sight
that's
of any
not-
other.
Listen.
person.
So if I click and like sound's gonna come out and bounce off my phone and come back and it's gonna make a certain noise and I'll be able to hear it. But if my phone's over here, it's gonna bounce off the water model and I'm not.
But I'm
gonna-
saying if you're like random bad brown mercenary in modern military shooter, and you're I'm standing here as American hero
I
versus
see-
behind
I see
you know
what you're
the
saying.
the waist high cover, what's the difference?
the biggest actual effective difference is that it allows you to use your flashlight around them without being spotted.
You can walk right.
Which actually, in effect, is really creepy. When
But
you're like in
I
a
don't
dark
understand.
hallway.
The thing is,
and-
they can't see unless they're actively trying to see.
And, yeah.
They have to be like clicking.
They're not constantly making that clicking noise.
Yeah.
They click.
they
wait
move
for the
around,
sound to come back.
they send out a pulse, and then they come. Like, for example,
so can
when
you
I was.
stop them from doing their sonar thing?
Well, you can
You can beat
avoid them or you can try to kill them, but they're really hard to kill because you can't, like.
So maybe you can move in between their clicks. So they click, which maps out the room. They can see everything, and then before they do it again, you can switch cover.
And here's the thing.
Which.
Think of it like that.
You
That
also,
actually-
you also
So would it be like a last known position thing where they,
Yeah.
they click,
Yeah.
they see where you are, and after they've clicked, you can move wherever you want?
Yeah.
because they're going to go to where they just saw you, quote unquote,
Okay.
without making another clicking noise. And you can
I'm just
move
trying
it
to
out.
get
yes,
behind the jargon and understand what's
okay.
actually
so
going
that's
on.
so mechanically, like what they have built into the game is like in the demo, they were encouraging us to like pick up bottles and bricks and shit. So like if you need to go through a doorway and he's standing in front of the doorway, you throw the brick over there. He hears it, walks away, or he'll use echolocation and he'll make the little clicking noise, and then he'll kind of see someone else moving, and then as he's walking over towards you, go around, like flank him, and you can move around because he's not making that clicking noise anymore. So he can't effectively see you at that point. And you can use your flashlight because he won't anyone see you. But there's other enemies called the runners, which are essentially like zombies straight out of
28
days later or something.
They're
They
like
run.
rage zombies.
And they can see you with
Yeah.
eyeballs?
They are straight up
and they
eyeballs.
run. They're really weak though, so you can kill them very easily. But their whole thing is they just like they get on top of you and just start like beating the shit.
There was
out of
actually
you.
a point when he played and when he died.
Yeah.
When he just got swarmed by like 5 or 6 of the runners, and we were all like, people were just like, you know, hit him, take him out, and
It's like
his
it's
character
throwing
literally.
up prompts to like it says like it has like tooltips the whole time too, or like like little help messages. There's like hold L2 to break away and run, and like I'm trying to do that, and my character is just going like no, and he like curls up into a little fetal position and just gets punched to death by like 3 or 4 zombies.
So
It's
does
terrifying.
this feel like a survival game? Like you barely have enough bullets to
Yes,
get
because
through each
like,
scenario?
you have more bullets than say something like I Am Alive, where you only have like 1 or 2. Like I had an entire clip, I had 6 bullets.
You're picking
But-
them up like 2 or 3 at a time.
But I walk into a room and there's like 2 clickers and like 5 or 6 runners, and it takes 2 bullets initially to take out a clicker for the most part with the gun they gave you. with
if
the pistol.
you're like perfect on your accuracy,
yeah,
it takes 2 headshots to kill a
but
clicker.
the moment you fire 1 shot, you get swarmed.
Yeah.
So it very much encourages you to use guns as a kind of a last resort. And there was one point like when I finally died, like I played pretty far into the demo, and then I get up top on this like 2nd floor, and I had gone around all these fucking runners, and I had avoided them. And I climbed to the 2nd floor, and there's a doorway with like this
Like a desk kind
like
of
a
thing,
desk or whatever hiding behind it, and I just grabbed the desk because I'm gonna pull it. And I don't know why I didn't see this coming, but like you just hear this like. as I'm like
Like,
scraping
super
across the
loud.
floor, and I was like, I swear
Like,
to God.
So
You remember?
can move
You remember in Men in
objects in
Black when they're taking the written exam and it's like really quiet in there, and he just walks over to the table and like pulls it over. It was that loud. It's just like, and then like all these zombies are just like swarming him, and he got killed.
So does the level design feel like Uncharted level design?
No, well, yeah, to a degree. It has that key Naughty Dog like feel to it, like it, but they're still more open. Like, so we're exploring this building, but instead of being like one strict path kind of through that building, you could go, you can go up ramps, jump up to the second floor, move through different rooms, so you can try and flank it. Like it was like in the demo they showed us at E3 where those guys were
It was in that
hunting
type
them.
of environment.
Yeah, so you could, there are holes in the wall so that allow you to go between rooms or, you know, under the floor, things like that.
They do
So-
kind of funnel you too once you move out of those areas as well.
But
I
each
mean,
area,
you know,
I would
pretty
actually
common.
compare it a little bit to Tomb Raider, like the current Tomb Raider, in terms of like it's linear, but the environments are open. And there's different ways you can kind of
Well, some of
go
the
through.
environments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but like the whole level took place in a building, so we didn't get to see much in the way of like being out in the
Yeah.
cityscape.
It
of
opened outside, like in the middle of the city.
Wait,
with,
so
like, a
were you
rain-
playing this at nighttime?
Yeah,
Well-
like it was like 10:30 or 11 or something.
No, in the game.
Oh, yeah.
In the game.
No. It was
I
it
don't
was in
care
the middle
what
of the
time you
day. It
played
was
it.
like it's in the middle of the day, but it's like really overcast. And I think it was raining.
There was a
in the
rainstorm.
So that's why
Yeah.
you needed the flashlight when you were inside the
Yeah,
building?
when you're inside the building, it like a lot of the building was like pitch black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here's a
And
question.
it was crazy too because you're finding like before you ever meet up with one of the zombies, or you find this like dead body that's like laying in front of a door you need to get through. But like he'd been infected, so like the fungus was growing out of him, but he had like grown and become part of the wall. So like, they like grab him to move him, and they're like literally pulling him, and you like he's
You just like break him off
like
the wall.
you have
It's
to
like-
essentially like break him off the wall because he's part of the wall at that point. It's crazy.
The game, is it did you do any of like the inventory management or like
Yes.
survival stuff?
Yeah, so you can collect all sorts of items throughout the environment and use them to create health kits and what I would assume weapons. I didn't create a weapon when I was playing.
Yeah, like they have like basically the way it works is it opens up a menu. It's got like I don't know, 12 or 14 different like preset recipes, and then it tells you, you know, it shows you next to them what all the ingredients are, how many of each you have, and then you can just kind of go through really quickly and like
It was a really
craft
well
them.
mapped out
Yeah.
interface too for that. But I will also point out it doesn't pause the game. It doesn't pause the
Yeah,
action.
it's
good,
all
though.
it's
That's
all in
good.
real
No,
time,
it's
so
fantastic.
you're like hiding there from the zombies, like building a med kit or like building a shiv like really quickly.
Kind of like a cross between like Zombie U and I Am Alive.
Yeah, but so that element of like was that I'm thinking of? I don't know, but there was a lot of you can tap the button and kind of see, kind of like Tomb Raider, where you
Yeah,
see.
he like
No.
crouches down and it's a listen mode, so
Yeah, but
everything goes like black and white and you can see the zombies moving like through the walls. And
But the
stuff
moment
like
you
that.
start moving, it goes away, kind of like a Tomb Raider. But it kind of becomes key.
I don't like that.
I'm so sick of that shit.
I mean, honestly though, like in practice, like it's not like a.
It
It doesn't feel overpowered or anything like that. It feels like you kind of need it because you're constantly in situations where you're outnumbered and you don't have enough supplies to deal with all the enemies that they put in front of you.
I mean, at some point, I feel like they put it in there just because without it, you would feel.
I mean, even with it, like
Why
we
didn't
both
they just
died.
not put it in there and then have less zombies?
Yeah, that's another solution. I don't know.
It's adjusting the game.
But then again, part of the
around
like,
its limitations.
part of the brilliance of the experience that I had, I felt was like that entire experience was like I was, you know, trying to remain really quiet and like ducking behind things and moving around and there's a lot of like I used distractions a lot, so I'd pick up bricks and throw them strategically so all the zombies would turn and go towards that at the same time, and you could like it give you like a small window to kind of like creep by them. And I feel like without that, like with less enemies and without that mechanic, it wouldn't feel nearly as tense. So like
I mean,
it's tense because there's so many enemies, but at the same time they're not encouraging you to go into combat. Like the only time that I pulled out my gun and started firing was when I was like, "Oh shit, he saw me.
yeah.
Oh fuck!" And then I just pulled out my gun and I had to start firing. And then at that moment, I was like, "I got to get out of here as quickly as possible." And then like, at that point, you don't know if the zombies are going to be flanking behind you or if they're going to come around through the hallway or directly in front of you. You're just like, now they know I'm here. Fuck.
Yeah.
And that feeling is really
That sounds
cool.
like Hitman Absolution.
Here's a
Yeah, but I don't know. It works here. I feel like it works here.
here's a final question from me. Is the game scary?
Considering the environment I was playing in, I was plenty tense, but I was in a very well lit room with like 30 people standing behind me watching.
But
me.
still, like, was there any sense of dread going
Yes.
forward?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I was
Like,
saying with the,
I don't want to
with
find
the,
out what's in this next room.
like with the clickers and everything. Like you walk in a dark hallway, you can't see what's going on. You turn on the flashlight, and there's a clicker just walking around in the hallway, just in your flashlight beam. That's like an immediate like, oh shit, like duck back behind a corner kind of panic moment. And
And
then
there's no
you peek
music.
around, you realize that they can't see you, and like
There's no music
It's
too, so
definitely-
it's very quiet. So
yeah.
all you're hearing is footsteps, clicking, rain on the rooftop or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's very atmospheric, very ambient.
Atmospheric, ambient, that's fine. My
It's-
question is scary.
Yes,
like we were saying,
depends. Like, it depends
we
where they
can't,
take
you
it.
can't really get like we couldn't really
Amnesia
get scared.
is scary.
like the thing is, this environment that they showed us, if there's a lot of this kind of stuff in the game, yes,
And you're
I think
playing,
it'll be,
like,
it'll
by
be a straight up
yourself.
survival horror to me.
Like at night with your lights off, like it would be fucking.
In
I
fact,
guarantee
actually,
it's gonna be scary.
the second half of the demo, which we both died before we got to, was actually you go into the basement where you can't see anything at all, and there are runners and there are clickers down there, but you're literally moving through pitch blackness. And since there's more runners down there than there are clickers, you pretty much have to turn your flashlight off for the most part. So you have to kind of figure out where they are and then move by them in complete blackness. So yes, the potential is there for this to be a straight up survival horror game.
Well,
But
I think what separates a survival horror game from, like, I don't know, like a game like Dead Space or something is the odds need to feel like they really are stacked against you. You need to
Yes.
feel like at all times I don't have enough ammunition to get through this scenario.
yes,
I mean that's
ammo is
that is the whole prevailing sense of the experience.
Yes.
Like
It
that
doesn't-
is what you feel like always.
I don't feel like it takes it quite as far as I'm Alive, because in that game
Okay.
you had like 1 bullet. But here, the most I ever had was 6. But I still felt outnumbered. But here's the thing: I think the other thing that's going to make this more like a survival horror is Ellie, because I had this sense of like responsibility.
Wait, so
for
she
her.
was there the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another
And
character.
there was a third character.
There's another character named Tess.
Tess.
But she's kind of like you. Like she can handle herself. I mean, Ellie can handle herself as well. But you had, as you can probably tell in the trailers and all the stuff they've shown before, you have this sense of kind of camaraderie or responsibility. Even you kind of feel like a parent to this girl. And if they really play that up, and I could see like it being in a lot of situations where it's like thinking about how do I get through this myself, but how do I make sure Ellie stays safe? Because the character stuff they showed in the demo, like it was just some brief dialogue and kind of stuff that was going on while you're playing, was really top notch, straight up Naughty Dog. So I don't know, it felt awesome to me. I'm really freaking excited for it.
Like, so straight up Naughty Dog, like Crash Bandicoot.
No, not like Crash Bandicoot, more like Uncharted.
My question is Amy Hennig working on this?
I
Series?
looked that up
Because you say like straight up Naughty Dog, but Naughty Dog didn't become a company that puts out excellent written games until Amy Hennig.
I looked up. I was trying to find out if Amy Hennig was working on this, and I didn't see it on her Wikipedia page or anything like that. But just from gathering what I've seen from this demo and from other demos they've shown us, it's still there. That magic, quote unquote, is still there.
Okay.
So consider that. I would probably consider that my most anticipated game of the year at this point after actually playing it. So let's move on.
To that other survival horror game. At least that's what it started out as.
Well, do you want to go ahead and take it here? We'll talk about Tomb Raider now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Tomb Raider. We all played Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Me and Nolan finished it.
I'm about
I did finish Miss Uncharted.
Crispy
Yeah,
and I-
it is pretty goddamn Uncharted-y.
Crispy and I are about halfway through the game, just for people wondering. So let's try and avoid spoilers, or like, I mean, nothing. I mean, you can talk
Laura
about things.
dies. No.
Whatever.
What?
Let's move on. So
She doesn't.
She already died in my game.
Or does she?
Am I
Oh, she
playing it?
dies plenty of times. If you let her.
Oh
Yeah.
God, the deaths
I could
are
not.
so
I could
fucking
not get
violent.
through the parachuting.
So if y'all
under, like,
have
5
seen
tries.
Really?
you know
I did my
the whole
first
Conan thing and you see you're getting stabbed
Yeah.
through the upper chin.
It's
and
hard
stuff,
for that not
there
to
are
happen.
so many more though besides
God.
that of like you're saying the parachuting sequence you
It
can get
took me
stabbed
forever
through
to
the
get
chest.
through
There's one if you fall in the water.
You bang her head.
she like bashes her head on a
Oh,
rock and
there
she goes
was,
all ragdoll. And
There's
like,
one with a running prop in the water, and the prop
yeah,
got
yeah,
her.
yeah.
That was pretty
Okay.
Jesus, there's so many like.
Oh, I missed the
violent
prop.
deaths.
It's a good one.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
She
this-
dies horribly. Surprise.
So this game is very Uncharted. At least when you're in combat. When I'm shooting dudes, I'm like, man, this is fucking Uncharted.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I love Uncharted as a shooter, like specifically too. In fact, it's one of my favorite shooters of the generation.
Even some of the set sequences are similar to Uncharted. Some of the
set PC moments.
well, yeah, set piece moments. I'm saying some of the when you're scaling some wall and stuff, like you're in a burning building. That's very Uncharted.
Yeah.
Like very.
Very much so.
Am I alone here in saying that I feel like maybe not better, but I feel like I'm enjoying the combat more.
I feel like the way the Laura like what I think the combat here is like on its base level, I think controls better than Uncharted because of like the dodge move for one, and two, I think the enemy design is that much more aggressive. So it forces you to move around and dodge around a lot more.
They're constantly hiding behind cover, and you're waiting.
Well,
for
no,
them.
see, Uncharted, like especially starting with 2, they do flush you out. They do advance on you quickly, and that's one of the
But
reasons
a
I
lot
like
of times,
Uncharted.
the reason they flush you out is because you'll enter a combat sequence, and then they'll be in front of you, and then they'll just start coming from behind you.
1, 3,
And in 3 a lot, and 2 a little, but in 3 all the time, you would literally be in areas where they'd be coming from both sides, so you can't hide.
Well,
in cover.
you gotta move. You gotta move.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think as a combat game, this game is very successful.
okay, good. That's one thing I really wanted to point out because I love the combat. in this game.
It is missing it doesn't quite have as much of like the cool combat scenario variety that like especially Uncharted 2 had. Like you're not like fighting dudes on a fucking train or whatever as it's moving around. Which is kind of cool. It's more a little straightforward.
But it's
in terms
very
of the
tight
scenarios.
combat, though. It's
It's great.
It's solid. It's
But also-
I mean, it's
more than
incredibly
solid.
satisfying. Like, I love it.
It has a lot to do with just how aggressive it is. I think one thing it's missing is, and you get it very late, but it's very limited. It may seem a little silly, but it needed something that worked like a grenade, at least probably a lot earlier on, because you get into these scenarios where there's like 3 dudes advancing on you, and realistically, your bow in that situation
isn't gonna cut it.
Cut it.
I definitely feel that way too. I was just playing a part where it was me on one platform, a bunch of enemies on a different higher platform, and they're like throwing dynamite at me and everything.
God, that sequence is awful.
While I'm like shooting up at them, and that was definitely a moment where I was like, man, if I just had one fucking Molotov cocktail.
Well, you
or
know
something.
that if you see a guy reach for dynamite and you shoot him, you can kill them all.
Yes, I've been doing that, but they're doing that from behind cover a lot.
What
I can't.
difficulty did y'all play on?
I'm just playing normal.
Normal.
Same.
See, I played through on hard, and I still thought it was kind of a cakewalk. I mean, how'd y'all feel about the difficulty?
I mean, it's I haven't been dying in combat a lot. I think I've died maybe twice in combat.
Okay.
It's enough to keep you on your toes. Like it definitely still has that sense of like every battle is like this desperate struggle to just like get it over with as fast as possible kind of thing.
There's been plenty of times too where I've opted to outsmart the enemy and try and go by them instead of actually engaging them head on, and that's pretty cool. But the thing is, I like as far as the combat scenarios go in this game, which is, I mean, there's probably plenty of stuff in Uncharted as well, but the combat scenarios are oftentimes like situations where you're exploring an area and nothing's really happening, and all of a sudden you walk into a room, and then the enemies themselves are like, we've got her, we've outsmarted her, we've got her in a trap. Like when you walk into this room at one point and it's pitch black, and all of a sudden these just like headlights just boom, just blind
that
you.
was a really cool part.
And like that stuff was freaking cool, and there's also a lot of moments where the combat scenarios are like there's like 1 or 2 guys standing in a hallway, and
just like talking,
and you can try and sneak by them, or you can blow up the barrel next to them, or create a distraction, and then or try and take one of them out silently. Like there's a lot of options.
But see,
there,
like in that
which is pretty
situation, it's never very challenging.
Yeah.
No,
Like when you get the drop on guys, I feel like
it's not
like
hard, but
most of the combat in this game isn't you stumbling across dudes when you're exploring the open hubby areas. It's more of that kind of like, we got you, and they send like some waves of dudes at you, kind of like most of the sequences on Uncharted. I kind of wish, especially because the setting tends to be a little more open than Uncharted. I wish the scenarios where you encounter dudes was a little bit more like Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
Like where more of them at a time. And
Well, no, not more at a time. Like I just would rather it feel like one, I wish all the environments were a lot more open. A lot of them where you fought waves of dudes were actually in the linear sections. But in Far Cry 3, I'm talking about when you're running around the world, you come across like a couple of dudes here and there, or like when you're trying to take out a camp. It's just like people existing in the world, and you sort of get to scope it out and figure out how you want to approach it. While I feel like most of the big firefights, it were just people advancing on your position, not you advancing on their position.
They were very staged. A lot of the big firefights were in like buildings, and they were just coming out of halls. Like, a door would open up, and a bunch of dudes would run out of it.
I mean,
I just feel like with the structure, it would better served if it was a little bit more like Far Cry.
I agree with that, because there are a lot of really good, like especially like the environments that involve a lot of buildings, like the shanty town and stuff like that. It seems like there should just be more guys, doing their daily thing there, but they're not. They're only there when they're there to be killed by you.
And then when you clear them all out, and it's like, oh, I guess I got to get all the collectibles. It's like so removed. Like running around for collectibles is so removed from
the combat.
And I wish they just sort of merged those together a little bit.
So there's one sequence that you're talking about that I think kind of fits that role, and it's later in the game when you're in kind of like a swampy area.
Yeah,
that area was really awesome because you
need to stealth through most of that.
You don't have to though. So there's guards like placed throughout this entire big open area, and you can take them out, or you can just sneak past them. You can go up into a tree and like go from tree to tree using your rope dart and stuff like that. And so that sequence is kind of fun because I didn't take them all out at first. I kind of explored the area a little bit, and I wish the game was more like that in a lot of the open areas, like the
or kind of like the structure of like Metal Gear Solid 3, where
that'd be good.
Where it's just a few guys here and there. I feel like in this game, if you're like in that big forest area,
no guys in this
if you alert like one guy, every single person in that area is going to rush you down, and you can't get back into that scenario where you're now sneaking around trying to take out dudes. It's sort of like Uncharted. It's stealth until you fuck up stealth, and then
they always
Uncharted.
know exactly where you are, even if you're hiding from them.
Now, one thing I do like about this game a lot is the fluidity of the combat. Like you can go I'll be primarily using bow and arrow for most of it, but there'll be like moments where there's like 2 or 3 dudes running down a hallway, and I'll take out 2 of them, and other guys coming up on me, and instead of like I have trouble getting up to like shoot him in the head really fast, so I just let one go, let one fly, hit him like right in the leg, and he falls to the floor, and he's like limping around, and then you can walk up and you basically hit a button, she picks up a rock and like bashes him in the head, and it all happens like super quick, and it feels super responsive, which is great. I also like the ability to dodge. You eventually unlock the ability to dodge and then throw dirt in their eyes.
Yeah. That's a great move.
Well,
that's a great move. But later on, when you start leveling up the skills, you start getting these abilities. Like when you first come across a dude in a shield and you time it right, if you dodge right at the right time and you find that open spot to like take some shots at him, super satisfying. But later on, they turn it into like a quick time event where every time you dodge, it automatically triggers like a wide prompt, and it sort of takes all the that flow out of it, and it's like, well, this is cheesy. I just wish I could undo this skill so I can go back to how I was doing it before.
It seems like a lot of the high level unlocks for her skills just make the game like too easy. Because like the highest level like orienteering, it's like, oh, we'll show you where all the relics are.
So that's what I was gonna say. Like the beginning of the game is paced really well. You don't have much, and that's how it should be. You're just kind of hoping to get by with your bow and arrow, and then like maybe 2/3 of the way through the game, like just throw everything at you, and they're like, here's 4 different guns, here's guns with upgrades, here's all this stuff, and now you just have like 18 different ways to kill a guy, and it's what do I want to do now?
I do think like all the different weapons are really well realized though.
No,
like I haven't
Machine
yet
gun, shotgun,
well,
pistol. What do you mean?
What I mean is like unlike a lot of shooter games, for example, like Max Payne 3, okay? They gave you a lot of different kinds of guns in that game, but I never felt compelled to use anything beside just like the regular pistols, In this one, the actual like switching between the assault rifle once you've put some upgrades into it, switching between the shotgun and the pistol and the bow and arrow, like they all feel pretty satisfying.
And they all have
no gun
to them.
Yeah, there's no gun that I'm like I'm never gonna use that.
I do think they serve their purpose, and there have been times where later in the game when you're fighting not like 5, 6, 7 dudes, you're fighting like 20 dudes, and oh shit, I ran out of ammo from my assault rifle, and then maybe it just all defaults to my pistol, so I take a couple of guys out with a couple of headshots and then scurry over and try and find some ammo or something.
For me, moments when I pull up my pistol or my assault rifle are the moments where I'm like, all right, fuck this, it's on. Like I'm trying to hit dudes with arrows, and I waste like 6 arrows, and I'm like, all right, screw this, and I just pull out a machine gun and just start mowing people down. which is a pretty satisfying feeling. And I'm actually enjoying going through the game a lot more with the bow and arrow.
All right. Well, so we're saying a lot about the combat, which is appropriate because let's be clear, this is a combat game.
Yeah, this is a third-person action.
There's
This is
lot
a
of-
third-person action game. It's not like the previous Tomb Raiders. But remember when I said, or you asked me if we were going to talk about old Tomb Raiders, and I said, well, it's kind of intertwined, and it's more related to my question for you all before we get into like the world structure and design and whatnot. Is did this game have to take out the elements of, say, even Crystal Dynamics' last game? Because like, and that's that. Could this have been not have been a successful action game if it also had, you know, the puzzle elements and like the more hardcore platforming elements of even their last Tomb Raider
No,
game?
because there are moments in this game, like when you go into the tombs, and yes, we'll talk about the tombs in a second, how they're very short. But
Did they have to be short?
No, they didn't have to. But when you're in those tombs, they feel like, in my opinion, they capture the essence of like the feel of what a Tomb Raider game should feel like.
But they
they're-
don't.
In my
they're not
opinion, I
even-
disagree with yours.
No, I completely disagree with you. And here's the thing: we don't even have to go back to the very old Tomb Raider games. The Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games, like Tomb Raider Underworld, Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, which redid a lot of the puzzles of the original and made them way more complex. Those games probably had some of the best pure puzzle design of the entire series. I don't understand why they had to simplify and just rip all that out.
I'm not saying they didn't simplify. I think it's very simplified here. I'm talking about the feel, the essence of like walking through caves with your torch up and knowing there's not any combat. You're purely exploring a tomb like.
But it's such a
environment.
shallow approximation of what it used to be,
But
and
you're
it
not
didn't have to
exploring
be
a
that
tomb.
way.
By,
is the thing.
by
You're
shallow, you mean it's short and then it's over before it begins. And
I mean, there are tombs where, like, every single one of the tombs, with the exception of one, has a single puzzle, and I'm talking about like you know, get this platform up to the top, get the chest, and you're
No,
done. And
trust me.
one of those tombs doesn't even have a puzzle.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. There's no puzzle.
There's not even a puzzle.
There's no
It's
puzzle.
just get up to that ledge so you can get the fucking chest. It's crazy.
no, trust me. I'm. Let me rephrase what I said. I did not mean to imply this is just like old Tomb Raider games when it comes to the tomb exploration. I'm just trying to say, like, as far as what Tomb Raider represents, that magic you got when you swam to the bottom of the ocean.
Well, there's
no,
definitely not-
stop flashing on the things I'm saying. Like when you get underwater, you get into that tomb and you open up and there's this crazy looking area and you're like, okay, this is crazy.
Well,
this is exciting. This is unknown. It's,
There is one difference there, and that's that almost every single puzzle you interact with is like attempted to be grounded in reality. Like, just burn this fucking rope and use this platform that humans use. While in the old Tomb Raider games, you're using like majestic ancient contraptions that make no fucking sense, but they were still cool. That stuff is gone. So, like you go into these caves and it looks like something like that should be there, but really you're just manipulating these very man-made things, and that was a little bit of a letdown.
So I was gonna say, when I first started playing this game, Nick and I played it at midnight release.
Yeah.
And I was excited, and then I was extremely let down because the first tomb he did was a DLC tomb that probably took you a good 15 minutes.
What?
It couldn't have even been that long.
no, it wasn't 15. It was like maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah, all of them seem like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that was not.
The one with the plane.
Yeah, we did not spend that long in there. It was still one puzzle. It wasn't.
I
any
know. I
longer than-
realized it was one puzzle, but
Was
although
it better than the other ones?
it was better than every single tomb in this game.
Oh man,
The-
I was so
Man,
pissed.
I've played every single tomb. The DLC tomb that you get for pre-ordering the game is better than every other tomb in this game.
I've already forgotten what we did in that, except for the fact there was a plane and I burned some rope.
Yes. I mean, you had to strategically go around and find different things to burn so you could adjust the plane's like position so you could climb up stuff. Literally every single tomb in this game is, oh, I need to, you know, I was telling you about one that was so dumb. There's a platform, and if you need to get up on some there's
the one with
a
the red?
platform, and then there's a
Teeter-totter?
ramp, yeah, like a teeter-totter, and you can't run up the teeter-totter because if you get to the other end to jump to the platform,
Yeah.
it'll tip. So you gotta counterweight
It's like a
it,
Half-Life 2 puzzle.
and then that's it, and then you're done. That's the whole tomb.
Yeah, and you pick up like 4 of these bright red
yellow,
canisters
bright yellow
or whatever,
like
put them
canisters, just throw
down,
'em over.
jump up there. I just don't understand why there isn't more. Like, why can't there be more? Crystal Dynamics not only did great puzzles in their Tomb Raider games, but they also did the Soul Reaver series, which also has great puzzles. They know how to do great puzzles. And you know what was really successful? Like Tomb Raider 1 and 2 and Soul Reaver. Like, those games were big mainstream successes.
No, I know,
But, like, why do they think that you have to not take that stuff out of the game for it to be a success.
No, I agree.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I completely agree. Now,
Imagine if they made a Zelda game and it was all 90% just slashing monsters and
I just want to just devil's advocate here, but I mean, a lot of people complained about previous Tomb Raider saying when you were in combat, it fucking sucked. So
no, it's fucking terrible. But here's the question.
No, but I'm saying is, I feel like going into this game, that might have been moved to the top of their priority list as far as things to fix.
Priority is one thing. You know what would be a better game than this game? If you gave me now give it the budget and the time that this game got, but you put the combat of this game in Underworld, and I'd rather play Underworld with this game's combat because that had fully fleshed out like puzzle design and exploration navigation design.
I want to have a conversation in a minute about what this means for the series going forward, because this appears to be a success, a mainstream success to a degree.
Sure.
And I feel like this is obviously going to be the direction the series is going.
But you know what had more puzzle solving than this game? Uncharted 2.
Yes.
And that's because after Uncharted 1, people were saying, well, this is clearly a Tomb Raider knockoff, but it doesn't have as many puzzles. You should put more puzzles in it. And they did. And you did all that stuff in the Ice Temple or whatever the fuck it was called.
In Uncharted.
Yeah, Uncharted 2.
No, sorry. Uncharted and 3 had good puzzles as well. Because the thing was, they were actually puzzles. They weren't, I got to counterweight this. It was, you have to...
What was that big device? It was like a big, brightly lit area, and there's like this giant, upside down pyramid or something, and you were scaling it, twisting things.
Mm-hmm.
That was
there's stuff like that. There's stuff you have to, I remember seeing something like this in my journal. So you literally have to flip through a journal. Oh, here's this diagram. I think I need to match up these two different puzzles on these walls to that is a puzzle. This game doesn't have
Uncharted
puzzles.
they gave you too much info.
No, I agree. Uncharted, they a little too handholdy. A lot of the time, they were like, "Hey, look at your notebook. Look at your notebook right now. You're standing on the thing. Look at your notebook, and that's the answer." I agree. They're a little too handholdy.
Yeah.
But Tomb Raider's even more handholdy in a lot of ways.
Now, in this Tomb Raider, though, I feel like some of my favorite quote unquote puzzles were not even in tombs. I agree.
There's some
the one where you're trying to knock the bell to go down through the floor, and
But see, that was probably the coolest moment in that game, and it's because they sort of infused like that combat scenario very close to that puzzle, and it wasn't combat wasn't a part of it, but it was so it made that area really memorable.
But the thing was, that was a puzzle. You literally had to, what if I do this and maybe this? Oh no, okay, if I do this and this, then that will work. That's a puzzle. You have to figure it out.
It was relatively simple.
Yes, it was simple, but I mean...
But one of the reasons I think it made it so memorable, and this is maybe related to something else, and that's because visually, that area is very, striking and memorable, with, the wind blowing and stuff. That was incredible. I don't understand why... Like that first area you get into is a forest, and it's open, and you're maybe you're looking around trying to shoot all those blue medallion kind of looking things or whatever, or the equivalent of the blue medallions from Resident Evil 4. You're like, man, this is amazing. I want to explore this island, but after you leave the forest, you spend a large portion of that game in villages and shanty towns, and I don't understand why the environment goes from kind of majestic to something that's so much more like Uncharted. And it didn't have to.
There's some striking and memorable environments too.
But look at your map and think about how much more time you're spending in the villages and the shanty towns versus that first forest area.
No, I agree.
It's lopsided, and I don't understand why. And you do that one tomb, and it's the first time you see that windy environment with the old Japanese structures, and you're just like, Jesus fuck, why isn't why am I spending so much majority of the time in shanty towns when they can do stuff that looks like this? Especially because the puzzle in that area is so fucking lame.
Which one?
The one where you open the thing and it blows the platform up there and you
jump. Yeah.
Then you get the chest.
Yeah.
That's not even a puzzle. I don't know. But
It's kind of a puzzle. It was simple.
I just if this game this is a really good game, and as a combat game, I think it's one of the best, in my opinion, of the generation. Just because I love having a character that has a lot of mobility in an environment that lets you get around, especially vertically in this case, but at the same time has hyper aggressive AI that will flush you out, that'll rush you down, that forces you to do that. I love that. It's why I love Vanquish. It's why I love Uncharted 2. It's why I love Fear. It's super aggressive AI, and I think this game does it really well. But I think if this game had something I don't know, the puzzle design from their previous efforts, and you know, maybe some of the like the platforming navigation of their previous efforts, we could have been talking about one of the greatest action games of the entire generation or beyond.
Nope.
You know, this could have been a Resident Evil 4 style reboot, but Resident Evil 4, while it made, you know, like the combat so much better, it also put everything else to 11, and that's what this game didn't quite do. It's close. And I don't know if it's something they can just fix in a sequel, because they really have to, you know, rethink
I think
what
they
type
could.
of game this is. But
I think they could fix it in the sequel.
No.
If they listen to fans' criticisms about this game,
But
I
I feel
think
like
they could.
I feel like they're gonna think that, we just need to do, you know, like in each tomb. Maybe we'll do 2 extra tombs, and we'll do 1 extra puzzle in each tomb, and that'll satiate
but
the hunger. It can't be an iterative thing. Like, that's the problem that Assassin's Creed has. That's the problem that Uncharted has had, where they're just like improving it a little bit here and there. Well, I mean, 2 was an improvement for other reasons, but I'm saying, like, in terms of like puzzle solving or whatever. Like, it has to be a massive rethinking. It needs to be like a Witcher 2 to 3 kind of thing. You know, or like what we're hoping Uncharted 3 to 4 is going to be.
I think my feelings towards this, the way they looked at the game, was they didn't want to make it too complicated, because they were afraid people were going to be like, oh, this is too hard, and give up. Like, oh, this puzzle's too difficult.
That's insane.
I agree, but I think that's what happened. That's why they hold your hand so much in this game. You'll be walking around, and you'll, like, you know, a tomb is nearby. You're near a tomb. Go look. Yeah, and then there's all these fucking arrows pointing. Like, right here. The tomb's right here. Right here. It's right here. Like, that's like, why couldn't those relics? Why couldn't you open a box and there's a map? And it's like, oh, well, if you go west of the Babbling Brook, you'll find my secret treasure.
That was probably one of the most disappointing things for me in the game. Like I said, okay, I've never played another Tomb Raider before. This is like the actual first Tomb Raider game I've ever gotten my hands on. I know, whatever. But the exploration does kind of feel a little bit of an afterthought at times. Now, I think I played about 4 tombs so far. I think they're well done. I think they're very fundamental. They're not complicated at all. But for what they're giving you, at least they kind of polished that much, you know?
The thing is, here's what I would say to you. Since this happens at the very beginning, pop in Tomb Raider Underworld and literally just play the first level.
Yeah.
And you will be like, what the fuck?
Okay. I mean, I can imagine.
Tomb Raider Underworld was like buggy. They had it was rushed out the door. But that first level of even Tomb Raider Underworld is so much more awe-inspiring than the scenario this game puts
The
you in.
game starts with you swimming down to a reef. You're just swimming down. And you can't even see.
Yeah.
Down. You see sharks swimming. And then all of a sudden there's like a fucking underwater cave.
Yeah.
And you go into the cave. There's a kraken in the cave.
What I mean is like this game, stylized as a reboot, is trying to capture a new generation of fans or whatever they're saying. You know, as her origin story, you know it. And I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but it does kind of seem like they are focusing a little bit more on developing her as a character. They put her in this like terrible situation that she's trying to get.
Before we get into the story,
I just mean that those things kind of maybe took priority. Like, you know, she's never done this before. It's not like she's gonna fall into this giant ancient, what are they, Japanese? Japanese, like this Japanese temple with all these different contraptions and switches, and then just like, oh well, just another day at the office, and then go start like pushing blocks.
The whole like narrative
I get that, but
thing, I don't even care about that though.
Okay,
Like make a good game first, and then write your narrative around that.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have written around that, whatever, you know.
But I mean,
you know what?
More as an introduction for new players, and then the next game.
I see this.
But that's not how it works. It's like slight improvements. They're not gonna
look at Assassin's Creed 1 to 2.
But that's not the kind of change I'm talking about. You know what? We were going back to Underworld. Even after Underworld, they made a game with a shit ton of action that had much more puzzle solving, inspired, clever puzzle solving than even this game. And Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, which I played last Friday, has a shit ton of action, but the optional tombs and that shit, the tombs you do as a part of the main story, way more inspired, way trickier.
I honestly think the reason that is because it's easier to make those tombs than it was these tombs.
And like I said,
I mean, they did it in all their other tombs.
But that's what I'm saying though. Is it takes more time to make these tombs. It takes more graphic. It literally takes more time to design. From what?
I don't know. Is this a new engine that the studio is
they
working
made
with?
specifically.
Or is this a new engine that they built from
I
scratch?
don't think they built a new engine from scratch.
I mean, it may
They
just-
might have. I mean, don't get me wrong. The game is beautiful. I don't know what engine they use, but whatever they did, the game looks fantastic.
And like I said, I've done like
Oh, yeah.
four
Wow.
of the optional tunes so far. How many did you say were?
Six.
There's 6.
So I'm about
Oh, and the
halfway
fifth
through the
one
game,
is-
and I've got
there's
2
no puzzle.
more. Okay.
Wait,
well,
what'd you say?
that is really.
You've already
disappointing.
done your hardest
Another-
tune, probably.
That's okay. That's disappointing. Another disappointing thing is like you were saying with the relics.
Yeah.
The first time I picked up like the first relic I found was that mask. I think
Yeah.
that's the first one they like give you, and you like turn it around and you find a little clue, and then she's like, "Ooh, that's paint. This must have belonged to so and so." You know, things like that. That should have been part of the gameplay. That shouldn't just be a fun little thing that's like, ooh, I can turn around this 3D model of a relic and find more information about it. That should be part of puzzle solving.
Can we talk about the collectibles overall?
Yeah.
Because, so you 100% of the game, Nolan. I didn't. I mean, I did all the tombs because I want to get as much of a puzzle solving as I possibly can. But I wasn't about to go around and collect all like the GPS things and some of the other like challenges.
So
honestly, because there was no real motivation for me to do so.
And so I agree. And so I've said it before. I mean, that's like one of my shameful secrets is I love fucking collecting collectibles.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just like blah,
And
blah,
those
whatever.
things are there for people like you.
Yeah, I know, and that's why they put them there. But I do agree. Like it's like, oh, I found all 15 GPS
It
caches.
feels kind of pander. Like
that did nothing.
Did
Like,
did you play Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light?
Yeah, I
that
played-
game had tons of optional tons of optional things to do, challenges, things to find, like collect all the red skulls.
But they felt good at
gave
that.
you real rewards for doing it.
Yeah.
They gave you new artifacts, they gave you new relics, which were those equipable things that modified your stats. You know, increase
And
your
it
bomb
was
radius,
great.
increase your speed. And that was real motivation to 100% that game. And I think when we played it, we went for all the challenges.
Carlos and I did when we played it as well.
This game, like collecting all the things, you know, even killing dudes in fancy ways, hunting, it's all tied. The reason the motivation isn't there is because the systems that it feeds into are super weak and super shallow. Like all the weapon
Or
upgrades,
non-existent.
or non-existent. All the weapon upgrades, all the skill upgrades. Not even halfway into that game, I was like, I don't really give a shit about any of this other stuff because it doesn't really affect
So
anything.
there was
that
one
much.
point where I actually stopped upgrading anything.
Yeah.
Like I had like 8,000 like
Yeah.
whatever the upgrading your
XP,
Salvage.
salvage
Oh,
like
salvage.
8,000 salvage, and I could upgrade like 10 things. I was like, it's honestly not gonna make a difference. Like I agree,
That-
like the upgrades don't seem to help.
they're
as much.
lopsided too, especially like with the skill upgrades, because the early upgrades are shit that you probably should already have,
Yeah.
and the later upgrades are shit that make the game
Less
kind of
fun.
pointless.
Yeah.
And-
like the last like survivalist upgrade or whatever it is
shows you everything on the
is
map.
orienteering. We'll just show you where all the secrets
You know,
are.
I feel like we talked about it, but the reason, like, 100%ing the map is so addictive in games like Metroid and Castlevania and you know Shadow Complex. It's so addicting is because the rewards you get for like figuring out those secrets
Are
are
rewards.
are actual
it, yeah.
like I have like you're playing a Metroid game. You start out those games, you're weak as shit, and you're like I have 5 missiles. Like man, this next boss would be so much easier if I had 5 more fucking missiles. And the secrets you find are getting those upgrades that you know like early on in a Metroid game almost feels like a survival horror because you have so little, your life is so little, but finding an energy tank, finding 5 more missiles, that's significant. So you're like, I'm finding fucking everything. This game, it has a real like, you know, this is the story is it's a survival game, but you never feel like you're struggling. You never feel like I have to get more ammo.
Well,
I have to get my next weapon upgrade because I played on hard. And
Like you were saying, they're pointless. There's no need to even those collectibles. There's no real need to get them. You don't get a whole lot of
Especially the
salvage for
GPS
them.
cache.
You just don't get a lot for them. Like Nick was saying, they literally put those in there for the people who like to collect shit because there's no reward. Like I figured, oh, well, why not have it to where when you get all the GPS caches, it unlocks some like, oh, well now you know the location of some secret tomb or some shit. How come
That
they
would
could?
be great.
I mean,
that
it
would be
does-
fucking
There's
incredible.
one like every time you get a tomb or like you find a treasure map and it unlocks the location of something. Like why couldn't they have done more of that? How come you didn't have
Like
to
Red
get the
Dead
map to find the
Redemption.
tomb? Like Red Dead. So there's so much.
Red Dead did that. See, Red Dead's like the treasure map thing was incredible. That's what a game like Tomb Raider
Well,
needs.
the best part about it is they didn't tell you. They didn't point it on your map. They wouldn't like, here's the thing, here it is on your map. It was like, here's a river, 2 rocks that look like this,
Yes.
and an X, and you literally had to go and
Oh
find
my
it.
god, that would be so great in this type of game.
Well, especially in a world like Red Dead where it was huge and you're just like,
Yeah, where is that going to be?
And you know
Exactly.
what? And this leads into the conversation a little bit. Is one of the reasons I was excited going into this game is because I sort of, from what I understood, it was all like a Metroidvania where you get skills and weapons that'll open up secrets, give you access to new areas or cool upgrades or whatever. But what I found out is that even though this game is kind of open world, it's really not
It's not at all.
Well, like the sort of going back to use your new tools is not only like very limited. Like for example, you're gonna get upgrades throughout the game that you're never gonna need in those first couple areas. Like usually you're getting. Like you're getting the tool in the area that requires it, or maybe you can go back and get one thing, which like I said, the rewards is not all that great. Like the Metroidvania aspects of it feel a lot more like they did in Lords of Shadows, where you're almost going back to replay areas to like 100% the map, or even kind of like how in DMC did it, where you're walking along, you see, well, I can't punch that red door, so let's remember to go back to replay this level.
The only reason fast travel exists in this game at the camps is to go back and collect collectibles.
Yeah.
There's literally no reason. Because at one point, I kind of started just collecting everything while I was there. Like, I already 100% this area. And so, yeah, there's several places, like the entire top, left of the map. I haven't been back there since I was there.
Well, there's also
the first
areas
time.
you probably can't get back to, I would imagine, unless you.
There's a couple of areas that you can't go back to.
You can
but
fast travel,
that
but
was
there's
like-
no reason to
there
fast travel
was-
to linear
there
areas.
was a part in the game early on. Remember I was telling you about I went through the sequence where you're running away from the raiders or whatever they are through like the burning buildings, and then
Yeah.
you go back to that mountaintop where you got snagged with the scientist, with the other guy.
Yeah.
I could not advance to the next area without fast traveling.
What? No, I had a situation like that.
I
as
could
well.
not.
Yeah,
I could not go to where I needed to go unless I went to a camp
Yeah.
and fast traveled.
that happened to me.
I don't know
can you
how
fast-
that happened.
How can you fast travel somewhere you haven't been?
I don't know. It was already on. I think it was because they took me through it as part of that scripted
Yeah.
event, and then they dumped me back to where I was,
about the-
but I was blocked off
You're
from
talking
getting
about the
back
door
to.
where that.
Yeah, with
asshole-
the crank where
Yeah,
you
no,
first upgrade your.
exact same thing happened to me. It was super weird.
You
I was
had
like, I
to
don't
fast
understand.
travel to get back there.
So
I don't know why.
Oh no! Okay, so what you're talking about at the very beginning of the game, you walk through, you crank the door open, and it's
Right.
you and you're that guy,
Right.
and y'all get captured.
Right.
And so then you do all that shit,
and then the
it
part where
drops
she's
you
got her
off.
hands tied behind her back and she's like sneaking around.
Yeah. So it drops you off at a fast travel point, but I didn't fast travel when I got there.
But I think
look,
at that point I
really-
went back and I started collecting shit and I couldn't get.
so you
I
couldn't
got really
progress?
confused.
So they drop you off.
They
and-
drop me off
so,
back
So
at
you
the-
hold on.
You're both talking at the
I
same
know, but
time.
I'm trying.
Okay.
You're in front of this big building, and on the opposite side of it is a camp, and then to the left of that is actually a path that winds up, and there's a couple of guys up there. Are you saying you went that way and you couldn't progress until you fast traveled back?
For me, it was a big red door.
No, it was yeah. It like it says go up the mountain.
Okay.
And when you go up as high as you can, there's the big door with the paint all over it. It's where you have to upgrade the climbing
Yeah.
axe
Yeah.
in order to crank the wheel, right?
Okay.
That was the only other path for me to go. Like that was like the map was telling me I had to go either under that or through that or something to get to the next area.
But hadn't you already upgraded your thing?
I had, but there was no prompt to open the door. There was no nothing.
Oh no! What it was, because this happened to me. The exact same thing is that he like holds open the door.
Yeah, and then it
like the door
closes, like, behind you
If you
guys.
fast travel back, you have to fast travel forward. I think
But I didn't fast travel back. It looped me back around after that sequence. And
Oh, you
dropped
may
me
have
off.
jumped off a ledge or something.
I guess I don't know, but like basically, it didn't even feel like I.
It's such a
While
weird
I
small
was playing,
thing though.
yeah, but while I was playing, it did feel like that was the way that the game was taking me, and I was supposed to come back here and then fast travel and move forward.
What's so important to a Metroidvania, to a good Metroidvania, is you need to feel like when you start that game that you can go anywhere. Like that game is an open environment, like a fucking GTA or something. It's open-ended. That castle, that world, and the only thing keeping you from seeing the rest of that game is I need missiles. I need to be able to turn into a bat. In this game, it feels like you're in a tiny little area, and it's story that's going to advance you forward, and not your ability to like get new equipment. You get equipment upgrades to get to the new areas, but it's always like a forced situation to advance the
That's
story.
why I don't think it's fair to be calling this, trying to compare this to Metroidvania.
I know it's not. That's what I'm saying.
it-
I was expecting it. I was a little let down when it
They
wasn't.
kind of toted it a little bit to kind of be Metroidvania-esque. Like, you're going to get upgrades, and you can
Brad
go,
asked him that at E3
you can
or
go back to
something, and
where
they
you
said
were
not
and stuff
really.
like that.
No. They didn't never call it a Metroidvania, but like closer to the release of the game when they started describing like skill gating or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
Like the terminology that they were using made it very much sound like a Metroid game. It just, you know.
So one of the-
as much as fucking Lords of Shadow was. I mean, that's really what it ended up being. I think.
One of the coolest
A little bit
things
better than Lords of
in,
Shadows,
in
but-
Shadow Complex is at the very beginning of the game, you remember you fight that giant crab spider thing with grenades?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you beat him, and then you run up and you run over and you run down, you run to the left, and you jump in some water,
Yeah.
you have 45 seconds. There's actually a door that will be open for like 45 seconds. And if you make it there, you can go through that door and get missiles, like right then. At the
Oh,
very
wow,
beginning
that's
of the
really
game.
cool. I didn't know.
And it unlock, you can just like, that's how some people can beat the game like really quick, because you can literally go from that first boss battle to having missiles, and then just, so many doors are now opened up to you, and you can just like explore the fucking game. Like you can, there's like a way you can beat this game in like fucking like 20 minutes or something like that. Is
Yeah.
if you get those missiles and you go through a door and you're able to just like essentially just bam, and then you're like at the end. But I mean, that's what's so good about those games, is the fact that yes, getting those upgrades makes you, whatever.
Okay.
But, yeah,
But that's not how this game is.
but just to be clear, like this game for a third-person like action shooter game it does do a good job of feeling more open
Yes,
than
yes,
things like
yes.
like Max Payne, where
Or,
it's like
or even Uncharted.
crushingly
Even
linear.
Like Naughty Dog could learn a lot from this game.
That's exactly what I told you. So I said to Nick, Naughty Dog can learn from Crystal Dynamics, learn from Crystal Dynamics?
Yeah, Crystal Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics and the openness of their game. If Uncharted 4 is not this open or more, I will be disappointed. And Crystal Dynamics needs to either learn from themselves or learn from Naughty Dog how to do puzzles.
Yeah. Or yeah,
I mean,
learn from
here's
themselves.
the
Yeah,
thing.
that's what I'm saying.
I think we'll get a good idea. I feel like The Last of Us has potential to be more open than Uncharted.
Yeah,
so,
but that, like Uncharted was very much trying to ape like Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
In its, maybe not what it actually was, but in the loosest sense of like this is an adventure and there's going to be puzzle solving. Like Last of Us doesn't seem like, why would there be any puzzle solving? That's just crazy.
well, I think the puzzle solving is kind of
The
kind of in
puzzle
the form
is
of the
stay
combat.
alive.
Yeah. Now before we move on, because we do need to cut the break, but I do want to ask, and I want to ask about the story, because I'm actually really
It's fun.
enjoying it.
Yeah, no, the
fine.
story's
It's
okay.
fine.
Yeah, I'm
You
not.
know,
I was not disappointed with the story. In all honesty.
I was
mean,
a little like I don't know. I was a little kind of like iffy about it the first hour or so, especially about the character of Laura herself.
I'm starting to
That
like
is all gone.
Once you
Like,
get over
I
the narrative
really,
dissonance, it's fun.
Yeah.
I really.
So, some of the other characters aren't as fleshed out, and they're
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like
No.
Laura
boss.
and Sam. Yeah, are pretty fleshed out characters. They go pretty in depth into them, but then like everyone else
like
is just
Roth
like
and Grimm.
they're just like a side
I
note
actually
that
like
aren't
listening
like,
to the audio
Well,
logs.
I've
you find.
loved
It's
listening
nice
to
that they're not actual audio logs, but I'm glad that they're voiced because
well, they're voiced by the person who wrote them, which I really like.
and that's just well done. Like I like because if it wasn't voiced, I probably would have just ignored them.
No, but they're actually like the voice acting for those things is actually kind of good.
No, that's very
Um,
well done.
but-
You find one that's like it's an audio log or a notebook or whatever by like some like guy who lived on that island a long time ago, and it's like hundreds of years ago or something, and it's like you're reading that or listening to that, and it's really interesting. And I don't want to get too much into spoilery stuff,
Yeah, let's not.
but I really liked how it ended.
Yeah,
The
no,
game?
Like I really like where they went, because remember we were talking about like supernatural stuff. The direction they took,
Well,
I
the
really
hints-
liked where it
the
went.
hints-
backdrop for the story is such that this really could have been a horror game instead of
It
a
could have
game
been.
that felt like Uncharted.
that-
like you were fighting dudes with guns, and I feel like it could have been a horror game like it was originally pitched
There are
as.
elements even early on in the very beginning that made me really think of Fatal Frame. Not
Yeah,
because
no,
you're seeing
absolutely,
ghosts.
because
sound
of the
effects,
setting.
like the little bells that you hear. I was like, oh my god! But the moment when you wake
But
up,
it's not that type
the
of
moment
game,
when you
it's
wake up at the
unfortunate.
monastery, right, and you're hanging upside down, and you see that big like silhouette of that thing,
Yeah.
like that was really fucking cool. And like I wasn't expecting it to go that way. Also, I meant to mention this back when we were talking about the fluidity of combat and stuff, but there are some cool things they do in combat scenarios. They don't do nearly enough. But like there was a moment where I was just kind of running blindly forward because I was shooting at dudes and I was suppressing them back, and I stepped on something, didn't realize it. Fucking trap just picked me up off the ground,
snare.
and I was hanging upside
that
down.
stuff doesn't happen enough. You know,
And I was
would-
just like,
It only happens like twice.
and I wish maybe you could use traps or something like just
that'd be amazing.
They need to kind of like what Assassin's Creed is doing. They need to, and a lot of games probably need to do this. Far Cry it up a little bit, you know. Far Cry it up a little bit. You could really benefit
No, definitely.
from that.
Okay, well that's good. I think we can cut the conversation there. I'm really enjoying the game. I know we had some negative things to say about it, but as far
No, I
as
think
I mean,
we're
I'm
all-
definitely
we're
gonna-
all mostly positive.
As an action game,
I mean, I'm definitely
it
going to
is-
go home after the show and play.
As an action game, it is great.
As a
has-
Tomb Raider.
it has some
As a
things to
Tomb
it.
Raider
It
game,
leaves
it's
something
fine.
to
I
be
know
desired.
this formula will be successful. What I don't feel like is they needed to make the cuts that they did to have made it a successful game. This could have been what is overall a really good game. It could have been one of the best.
But this is definitely a good starting place for them to,
Yeah,
to,
now-
to
well, for
progress from. I
them,
think
but you
for,
know what? Like we have Uncharted and Gears of Wars.
yeah,
We didn't really need another one, but it's what we got. Luckily, it's good.
I feel like this is a game that's kind of follow the same formula where it's like, so they took some chances with this one. They maybe made some cutbacks to maybe appeal to a wider audience, which they've done. Now is their opportunity with the sequel to say, okay, we have that built-in audience. The people who enjoyed the first one are going to go out and buy the second one. So why don't
showing them more of
why don't we
like-
show them what Tomb Raider was really like?
That's optimistic, man.
It's optimistic, and I'm not saying it's going to be.
Especially look at the Soul Reaver series. The first Soul Reaver game was a Metroidvania. That series got more and more linear, and by the time Defiance came out, it was levels.
Yeah, I know. Not that I want to. I'm not trying to be optimistic, but I'm saying that's what Crystal Dynamics needs to approach the sequel with. That's how I feel they need to take it. They need to say, okay, we have that audience now. Let's show them what we can really do. Let's show them what puzzles and Tomb Raider games are like.
Because they have that ability.
Because they can fucking do that with their hands tied behind their back. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do news. I do want to mention I had an experience with Metal Gear Rising.
We can talk a little bit about that.
So we'll talk a little bit about that and then jump into the news. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a moment. No, don't mind that. Computer chips. Okay, we're back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to 4Player Podcast. For those of y'all sticking around and watching us on the feed over at 4pp.tv on our live broadcast on Tuesday night, stick around after the show. Carlos is going to be over for New Release Tuesday to play God of War Ascension. Which, you know what? I don't know. This isn't really news. I just thought it was interesting that God of War Ascension reviews are out, and it's really hovering at a pretty low score for a God of War game.
That's a fucking surprise. As if I've not been talking about the issues with these types of games for years.
Are we just talking about the running out of steam?
Yes. Because they're not doing anything remotely
They're doing the same
interesting
thing.
with design. They're doing more of the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they're going to make these franchises that people once heralded as the best out there into like, no one gets a shit.
I don't know. I know.
Horrible. Guess what? Next week, another Gears game comes out.
I feel like you're
Are
pointing.
we all excited about the new Gears?
I feel like you're pointing an invisible finger at Assassin's Creed, and I just
No.
I think you're projecting your issues.
I might be projecting
Brad's
my
clearly
fears.
said he's kind of excited for 4.
Yeah. If 4
because
is what
there
we hope it
might
is.
be swimming.
We're gonna play that, or not play it. We'll probably see the demonstration of it at PAX in 2 weeks.
As
No.
Oh my god, week and a half.
Week and a half.
Holy shit, Boston!
Wait,
we are
really?
gonna be inside of you in
Next
less than 2
Friday.
weeks. Next Friday. So anyone living in the Boston area will be in town on the 22nd through the 25th, I believe it is. 21st, the 25th.
21st. Through the
For PAX East. So come by. We're going to be doing a community meetup. One of those nights outside of the convention. We'll probably hang out with people. Anyone who happens to be inside the convention, we'll meet up with them periodically throughout the event.
Cool.
So
hey, you know what else also in the news? Let's do a little quick Kickstarter corner. The sequel to, or the spiritual successor to Planescape Torment. I forget what it's called. The Torment game that In Exile is working on.
Planescape Torment.
No, yes, that's what the first one was called. This next game is called Torment something, but it's a successor to Planescape Torment, developed by In Exile. A lot of those guys worked on the original. That thing was backed in like hours.
God damn.
So like it hit over $1 million in just like several hours, like 6 to 7 hours. It was super quick, and it's still going strong.
Are you going to bring up the Awakening Kickstarter? Because
No.
that missed its goal.
Yeah, it missed its goal. Well, I think we saw the writing was on the wall for that one. It was moving way too slow.
Oh yeah, I mean, but why do you think that is? I think as far as a premise goes, I think that looked like it had a lot of potential.
But another one that's about to hit its goal, which was announced last week. Richard Garriott's doing a spiritual successor to Ultima, is what it looks like.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which Ultima Online, a spiritual successor to Ultima Online, from what it looks like. I forget what it's called. Something of the Avatar. I don't know, but the way he describes it, it very much sounds like something like Ultima Online, which is cool. And that's just about like any hour now going to be finished being backed. So
that's cool. Anything else in your Kickstarter corner
a
there, Brad?
A lot of old school designers making old school games and getting
A lot
backed
of them are doing
really
that.
easily. Did you see the footage of the Shadowrun reboot, which looks cool?
I had a friend who was very adamant about his love for Shadowrun on the Xbox 360.
Oh, well, no.
No. So when I heard they were doing a new one, I was picturing that, and then to see like this Shadowrun come out, there's screenshots on the site if you want to check it out at 4playernetwork.com. When I saw that, there's video out there, but when I saw it, I was like, okay, that looks way more promising to me as far conceptually.
Yeah, it's a RPG. I mean, it's like those old school Shadowrun games on the SNES and Genesis, which were very different games.
Yeah,
but they were RPGs.
That's pretty cool. Hey, before we get too far into news, I want to just rewind it for a second, back to impressions, because I did play and finish Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance this week.
What? No one told me you were rewinding?
Well, I said at the end of the last segment I was going to revisit this, just because I had an experience in that game. Nolan and Crispy can both attest to this. I was stuck on a boss fight for over 3 hours. Sam.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Let him finish.
On normal.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's weird.
By the way, I beat
That was a really good boss fight for me.
Yeah, no.
It was.
Bless you.
Oh, it's a great fight. Fantastic fight. I love that
It's
fight.
not what
In
you were
fact,
saying at the
in
time.
retrospect, I look back on it, and if I had known what I had known at the beginning of the fight, I probably would have beat it on my second or third try, and I would have loved the fight. It would have been akin to the fight in Devil May Cry 4 that I love so much. That game is not very good at telling you
Anything?
anything. Because the way... Okay, so I was stuck in a fight for 3 hours. So you're fighting in this big open area. It's literally like a road, and you're on the side of the road out in the middle of the desert, and there's just big rocks everywhere, and you're fighting this dude, right?
Great scenario.
So I get into this fight, right? And I didn't realize I was about to finish the level, go into a boss fight. Because you watch a big cutscene, and all of a sudden, you're in the boss fight, right?
Yep.
Go into the boss fight, no health items. So my only option is to pick up health items out of these little crates that are lying around. There's 2 of them in the area. And I could get them each time, and I could get them down to maybe, if I was lucky, 40% health before I was killed. Every time. 3 hours of this. And then, out of nowhere, I was fighting him, and he kind of shoved me back into the street. And then he, uppercutted me, and I went flying through the fence and into the other side of the road, which I didn't even know you could go in. And there was, 3 more boxes with health items. I get all those, fucking beat him my first try.
Dude.
That game is infuriating. And
The game does do
it-
a very good job of
That boss fight
making sure you're not in a scenario that is too hard when you have no health items.
Yeah.
that boss, I know, that's why I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why the fuck? Because every time I would go over to that area and I would kind of start to go into the street, he would knock me back into the road. So I was kind of under the impression you couldn't go beyond that road. And there's a little fence there set up as well. So I was like, and not to mention, I feel like if you could go to both sides of the road, the boss fight would have started with you both standing in the road. But no, it starts you on the right side of the road. So for whatever reason, I assumed you couldn't go to the left side. I never even wanted.
It could have started you on opposite sides.
You've been-
Yeah. What the fuck? It's a nitpick. It
You've been
drove me crazy.
conditioned to think there was an invisible wall.
But there was some kind of invisible wall, even if it was just mental in my head, that was preventing me from going to the other side of the map. And it might even have something to do with the fucking awful camera in this game.
Yeah.
Because the moment he...
Dano's got a point.
What?
And it's true. Just like any other Metal Gear Solid game, if you use your codec in boss fights, they'll give you a lot of information. And he says
that's probably true.
That the wolf tells you there's about the crates.
Okay, that's great. I never used my codec once in this game. Not once.
They do give you tips for the boss fights.
I know, but I don't want to say this, but I'm going to anyways, because even though
Just say it.
it's a great Metal Gear game, great action game, it didn't feel like a Metal Gear game really to me, and it didn't have that same feel. So it was all about the action, all about moving super fast, and those moments where you go into a codec conversation were actually really boring. Like they're not any different per se than any other Metal Gear game, and the other Metal Gear games are a little slower paced anyways. This game, I was like stopping, like doing all sorts of crazy shit and having all sorts of fun to listen to this conversation.
I rarely.
I just never did
check
it.
the codec at all.
I just didn't feel like it was necessary in a game like this.
But I mean, after 3 hours, I would have been checking the codec.
Yeah, the honest to God truth,
Just didn't occur to
I
you.
didn't even remember it was there. In fact,
So you never saved with the new Ming?
no. There's a Ming in this game?
I mean, there's a whole list of people you can
I
talk
know,
to.
and every time I opened that menu, I was like, I don't want to watch a 5-minute long conversation.
deal with this.
It didn't feel like it
I would
didn't.
skip through a lot of shit.
It's just this game is so fast paced. To do something like that voluntarily seemed kind of ridiculous, and I know that's probably my fault.
So what were you saying about the final boss?
Beat that shit on my second try. Thank you, Nolan, he gave me a few tips, obviously. But here's the best part.
And your second try on what form, though?
Let me
Wait.
tell you the best part of this story.
Oh, is this going to be like while we were watching you play the Sam fight?
Yes.
do we want to reenact this?
No.
No, it's real quick. There's only like
Well,
four,
Nick
four
just
phrases.
threw his controller across the room.
Well, besides that, so I'm watching Nick fight Sam,
Yes.
and
Okay, let me just say this. Nolan finished this game on hard. I played it on normal. I was frustrated.
I beat Sam in about 30 minutes, maybe.
And I was coming up on hour 3.
I think
Maybe 2.5.
I think I was better at parrying than Nick. But anyway,
By the way, yeah, and pairing is kind of... I think pairing is probably a little more difficult on the PS3 than the... We had that conversation last week.
yeah.
Anyways,
So Nick's fighting Sam, and his body turns red, and he starts moving really fast. And I'm like, Nick, why is your body red? What are you doing?
and I said, that's Ripper mode.
And I was like, what's a ripper mode?
What?
Really? No.
How can... that mode is so cool.
I wanted to punch him in the face so hard.
Nick like paused the game and we both looked at him like, what?
I beat this game not knowing what ripper mode
what the fuck?
On hard. And I think he may have been making this part up. But he was watching... No. He was
It's
watching
more
me
just
play.
a fun thing to use than a necessity.
But he was watching me play, and then I cut open one of those boxes to get a health item out, and he was like, there's health items in this level?
I beat Sam without
Yeah, me too.
I didn't know there were health items on the map.
I wanted to...
I feel like if you're good at pairing, you don't need a lot.
I don't think pairing is as easy on the PS3 as it is on the 360 because, like, I don't know. Even the little time that I spent watching Nolan, it just seemed like it was so much more natural. But the thing about the analog sticks, the way they're positioned on the controller in the PS3, they don't feel as responsive, and you just can't do it fast. Like, especially when he had chains like 2 or 3 attacks in a row.
Yeah.
On there, you just can't do it fast enough.
I tried to show
Easily.
Nick. I was like, "This is how you do it," and I wasn't getting all the parries I would normally get on the Xbox.
So there's some kind of disconnect there. But whatever. I got to the point where I could parry him enough.
Did you go back and mess with the Ripper mode?
No, I already sent the game back.
It makes fighting like the bigger robots and stuff
Oh, I could
a lot
imagine.
less painful,
I could imagine.
or a lot less tedious, I should say.
Otherwise, that game is great. I really liked it, except for that one moment of pure insanity.
There you go. You've been looking for stuff to buy for the PC on the cheap, right?
Yeah.
Red Faction Guerrilla. Have you played through that game?
Yeah, I played it on
okay.
Xbox, but
By the way,
really good on the PC as
Moblin
well.
in chat says I play on the PS3 and I don't get the counterattack from parries very often.
it's $5.
$5
I'll buy
for
that.
Red Faction.
I'll buy that for $5.
Hey, no cheating, Brad. Don't you
know what?
Don't you even think about
Really
chewing
kinda
that near the
stupid about
microphone?
that?
What's that?
We had that whole big conversation about you not knowing what Ripper mode is, and I was saying that I got stuck in one part. I'm just now realizing that I never once tried Ripper mode
What?
to get through that, and I know it's there. Like,
No, but
The
you
thing
know,
is, it refills very quickly.
and you know,
Yeah.
here's the thing: like that Ripper mode is great. They never once out like you. So there's that cutscene where you unlock the ability, right? It's in a cutscene where
With Monsoon.
with Monsoon, but they never tell you how to use it. Like I got half through that fight before I realized you could that You know, I saw an icon. I saw a thing in the top. I was like, "That's a new thing. How do I unlock that?" And then I was like, "Maybe that's the thing that he unlocked in the cutscene." And I just figured it'd probably be hitting down on the sticks. And luckily enough, it was.
See, I never used it on bosses. I always used it when it was like,
Don't make me hit you.
I'm in an area and there's big giant like fucking robots or geckos and a bunch of dudes. I was just like, I don't got time for this shit. Ripper mode, and there's fucking legs and arms and pieces of robots flying everywhere.
Nick, with the Gray Fox sword upgraded.
Always against those gorillas too.
With the Gray
Always.
Fox sword upgraded, you could slice a gecko in half
Oh,
just by swinging your sword at it.
So yeah, he didn't use it.
Well, by the time I got it fully upgraded, I was like at the end of the game.
Oh.
Anyways.
Yeah.
They may have. So someone in the chat is pointing out that they may have told you about the Ripper mode, but it wasn't
I feel
obvious.
like they make a big deal about it.
They make a
in
big
the
deal
story,
of it.
so why-
They make a
Obviously
big deal
not
of it in the
big enough.
cutscene, but they didn't. There's something fundamental about the way they tell you how to use it that just didn't resonate, because I got halfway through the monsoon fight before it even occurred to me that I could probably use that ability. They did in the cutscene.
What does it do when you're fighting a boss anyways? Just makes you stronger?
Just makes your attacks do more damage.
You take not less damage, but you won't get knocked back as easily.
And you know,
they get a good
when
hit
you're
on you.
when you're fighting Sam, you have to hit him a bunch of times to get him to like do that thing where he like you break
Stumbles,
he
yeah.
stumbles backwards. It like first hit, boom, does it.
It boosts your self-confidence as well.
Yes. Thank you, Chris. So yeah.
News?
Anyways, back to the news.
Yep.
I didn't mean to derail that.
It's all right.
Uh,
Did you hear about that new game?
That new
Sim
one.
City.
I've been hearing no problems at all with that, right?
It's
Not at
smooth
all.
sailing.
Very-
Smooth sailing with EA.
I don't think they're sailing.
Very
in the game,
successful launch.
I just feel like, man, this isn't so much of a news topic as it is like, oh, of course. Online, always online DRM backfired. You know, just like it did with Diablo.
In a big way, though.
Good news is none of us are really playing SimCity, and maybe by the time we get around to it, these issues won't.
No, I have a lot of friends who are, though.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that have been, like, bitching, you know, like, because just the sporadic, sometimes I can get on, sometimes I can't. Sometimes when I log in, it starts a new city, and I can't reload my other city. And then they'll fix something, and then I'll log in, and every time I log in, it'll load a different city, even though, like, I should only have, like, the one city. And, you know, all these different problems. And, you know, their whole big thing was EA was saying, like, oh, well, we can't. It has to be online, and we're going to disable some other functions to help it out, but it has to be online. There's no way it can be offline.
Bullshit.
And then some people apparently came out today saying it can be offline, and it's actually pretty easy to do. And EA just essentially, I don't know, maybe they just want their money. I don't know what.
Why?
If they're doing.
EA's concerned about getting their money?
It's DRM, you know, they're trying to prevent piracy.
But there's already plenty of piracy.
Ironically,
Yeah.
you know, the only people
develop on the PC.
the people playing SimCity the most are the pirates who downloaded an offline
Because they're
version.
the only ones that can play.
Yeah.
And hey, I don't want to say this, but I'll say it anyways.
Say it.
If you don't want your game to be pirated, don't develop on the PC. That's kind of just like the way it is now, right? I mean, PC games are so much easier to pirate than
There's
a lot of other
always going
shit.
to be somebody
Yeah.
out there.
There's always going to be some
definitely
other
true.
pirate. I mean, you're taking a chance of your game being pirated extensively by putting your game in the PC, and so many other developers are come to terms with that, found other logical, reasonable ways to combat it, and reward the people who don't pirate the game.
Exactly.
Instead of punishing everybody, just reward the people who don't. I feel like that's the better solution. EA apparently doesn't think that way. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate. But let's be honest. Who here is really going to play SimCity? Anybody? Anybody?
I mean, my only problem with games like that is I just get sucked into no avail. Like, I'll just be like, oh, let me play
might as
half an
well be-
hour, I'll make a city real quick, and then it'll be like 6 in the morning.
It might as well be...
Just ruining your life.
It might as well be an MMO.
People are
at
like,
that point.
console games can be pirated too. Yeah, but it's really easy on the PC. And almost everything that comes out on the PC can be pirated. I know the handhelds that are out still haven't been cracked.
Yeah.
And I like how someone in chat saying...
Current gen handhelds.
that
Yeah.
Someone in chat is saying that I must think that all PC gamers are pirates. I don't know where they got that idea, but
Yeah.
whatever.
God, I haven't even really like thought about that. I wonder why. Because I mean, since I built like this gaming PC, I haven't thought of like, why don't I just go torrent this game? Mm-hmm. But I guess I could do that.
The last time I pirated a game was like 2008. I just haven't done it since then.
You know, it's stories about piracy that make it even pop into my head because all these stories about SimCity's DRM and people pirating an offline version of the game, that got me thinking, well, maybe I should get this version of SimCity I could actually play. But I didn't do that. I don't know.
But I mean, you use like the Dolphin emulator, don't you?
Well, that's
Yeah,
Isn't that kind of?
but anything I've ever played on that is, I mean, like I own Xenoblade on
on the Wii.
on the Wii. I own a copy of it. I got it. It was when it first came out in Europe, but I mean, I guess that's the only thing I really ever played on the Dolphin. I mean, I'll pirate like super old games,
Oh yeah.
but
There's not many other
Stuff
options.
that like
yeah,
they're
you can't
not
really do
even
it.
selling.
or like PlayStation 1 games I play. I mean, I have discs of all those, but I just emulate them because modern emulators you
Looks
can make
better,
them look
yeah.
a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about this new Star Wars thing? There's two Star Wars topics this week to technically bring up. One of which being
Oh shit! I forgot to.
one of which
No
being,
one posted the details about the freeze, so fuck them all.
Anyways, one of the stories coming out this week has to do with Star Wars Battlefront 3. I guess there's a new shooter being developed.
Was
that
being developed.
was being developed. I think it's on hold now, right?
It apparently since last fall or since Disney acquired.
Well, so that's
Lucasfilm.
the other news topic. But go ahead, tell us
Yeah,
what
so-
that shooter is.
So the new one, Star Wars First Assault. I think
Is it First Assault or like First? I think it's First Assault.
pretty sure it's called First Assault.
It's a multiplayer DLC game that was being developed for Xbox Live Arcade and specifically, I think it was also going to be like on PSN or PC or something.
Probably so. I mean, it looks very reminiscent of Call of Duty.
I mean, yeah, it's
As
just
a Star
it's a
Wars.
16-player team-based competitive multiplayer, all guns, no Jedis or lightsabers or anything like that, no force powers. The idea behind the game was that it was going to be kind of used as a gauge to measure interest in Battlefront 3. If this
I don't know
game
why they-
sold well, I don't know why they were thinking that, but
Yeah.
Why don't they look
the
at the sales
idea-
of Battlefield 2 and tell me
Yeah,
and use
I
that
don't
to
know.
gauge
But
the interest?
there, I guess more in the mindset of, is there a market for a Star Wars shooter at all? Like, no matter what kind of shooter it is.
I think
This game was originally going to have a beta that was going to be up last September, but obviously that didn't happen. The idea being that it was going to be released this spring, so in the next couple months.
I mean, honestly, I think that I would have rather had my interest gauged using, I don't know, Star Wars 1313.
Yeah.
A game that looks like a very competent shooter.
It seems kind of weird too. I mean, it kind of puts people who want if this had gone through, it would have put fans who want Battlefront 3 in a position of buying a DLC, probably what was probably going to be a decent to mediocre DLC competitive shooter that even those of us who bought it and played it probably would only play for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And
What was
then
the
never
last
go back to.
first-person shooter that came out?
I mean, even
as a
like-
downloadable that was like super memorable.
Well, I mean, like Gotham City Imposters
City
was really
Imposters.
good, but I didn't stick with that.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Like-
I stuck with that for a long time.
Yeah, I know you were playing it for a lot longer than we
I
were.
played it for a long.
and I would still
ass
go
time.
back and play that game. The thing
I-
is-
Carlos and I played that
it's-
for like 6 months.
And it's a really good game. It's a great game, but it's not anywhere near the scope of what people would want out of a new Battlefront game.
No.
Like a Star Wars Battlefront game is supposed to be huge, especially nowadays, especially with things like Battlefield 3 out there. We've got even more online massive, planet side, like massive multiplayer
Yeah.
shooters. It seems kind of weird to just take this old kind of worn out trope of a 8 versus 8 multiplayer shooter.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of originality behind this.
Yeah, I mean, you're almost setting it up for failure at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, what, you people weren't excited about a 16-player team-based multiplayer shooter game that's Star Wars because there isn't a million of those out there already? Well, we're not going to do Battlefront 3 then.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do Battlefront 3?
But I mean, like we said,
Brad's looking up the details right now. I
I
don't
can't
remember.
fucking find him. Nobody in chat has any idea.
I think there was stuff posted on Kotaku about it. I think that's where I read it.
I don't know. I mean,
But it looks like that might not happen either way.
the game we're speaking about now is currently on hold right now. So
Yeah, I mean, no, we're like,
We don't know that. We can't say that.
okay,
We can say whatever we want. That doesn't mean it's true.
So I could move on to something that just popped into my head because it was posted on the site this week. But I'm very hesitant to put any positive thoughts out there about this. But there was a trailer for a new Call of Juarez game, which is a downloadable title as well, called Call of Juarez Gunslinger, which just based on the trailer, kind of got me back in that frame of mind for like Red Dead. Like, ooh, Western! I fucking love Western. This could be cool.
I was this close on Sunday to playing Red Dead. I was like this close to because I think Bernadette was playing something on the PC, and I was like, well, what can I play in my room? And I saw Red Dead on there, and I was like,
why didn't you do it, Nolan? Why did you do it? That game is so good.
Because I don't have time right now. There's too many other games I need to be playing.
Is this new Call of Juarez going to be a Western?
It's
not going to be another DEA
no
going into...
It's just not going to be about the cartel set in modern day, but it is the same developer, Techland.
Yeah, but you know what?
Because that seemed like such a good idea at the time.
Did Techland do Bound in Blood as well?
Yeah, and the first one.
Okay, so there's still hope. There's still hope.
There's always hope.
Call of Juarez Bound in Blood was a game I meant to play.
They also did Dead Island?
Yeah, they did Dead Island. So they can make... I mean, that game is not... That game has problems. But I still think it probably outdid maybe Call of Juarez the cartel. So.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Since this one... I don't know how it's going to feel because, I mean, I feel like a Western game in general should be pretty broad in scope, especially coming off of Red Dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to handle that, downsizing to a downloadable title.
Just throwing a couple of cowboys and engines, and you're good.
But yeah, I don't know. It could be good.
No, they hadn't invented it. That's why they all rode on horses.
All right,
they
so
didn't have engines yet.
So here's the details about the LucasArts thing. It's a rumor at this point, I guess, because it's just a source. It was posted on Kotaku. Apparently, LucasArts has froze all hiring and new game announcements since the purchase. Here's
By
another quote.
Disney.
It says, so since September, employees at LucasArts have been working on the game with no knowledge as to whether or not it will actually come out. According to our source, LucasArts is bleeding talent as employees wait to see what executives at Disney and LucasArts wants to do with First Assault and other games the studio is working on. So no one knows anything.
So there's,
But they are still working on it.
But the thing is, not hiring new people. I mean, as a game gets further along, you usually ramp up
the talent,
hiring. Like the talent you bring in, and what it looks like is, the unsure future is causing people to maybe leave and look for other job opportunities, which is also not good.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, a lot of this probably stems from the Disney purchase, and Disney is probably uncertain. I mean, Disney right now, they haven't had the greatest luck in terms of game development.
How involved is Disney getting into specifically like what LucasArts is doing?
Well, I mean, it's an investment, so they have to kind of. They have to make those.
I'm sure they're looking around it. I'm sure they're going over everything. This is still a pretty new deal. Like this only just went down at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think optimistically what they.
But I mean, are they really trying to? Is this a sign that Disney is trying to get in there and gut out a lot of things because they want to refocus the whole brand, and have more control?
Or they just want to be sure that everything that comes out is new canon. Like it has to sort of maybe fall in line with their new vision of what Star Wars is.
Which had Mickey Mouse in it.
Which the scary thing is, none of us know yet.
Wait, does that mean Star Wars World, the new Kingdom Hearts game?
I'm just saying.
Shit.
What Kingdom Hearts game? That's never fucking coming.
Instead of a keyblade, you'll have like a lightsaber.
A key
blade.
lightsaber?
Yes.
It's
Shut up.
I don't know. It just seems like, especially with the rumors that there might be like other like side project films focusing on other characters like Boba Fett. Disney doesn't want to put out a property that says one thing about Boba Fett when they have plans for another thing about Boba Fett.
But I mean, does that mean that they're...
Because 1313, there's been rumors that maybe that character that was always a placeholder and that it might actually be somebody like Boba Fett maybe. But yeah.
But I mean... What I'm saying is, does that mean that are they going to Disney up Star Wars? Are they saying we don't want dark and gritty Star Wars?
So.
We want more Jedis. We want more of the mysticism.
I don't think they will.
You mean for like games?
Just for the whole brand as in general.
I don't think
it's
they will.
J.J. Abrams thing.
Disney's done some darker stuff too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I get it, but I'm just scared, guys. Okay.
I think
I'm
we're all
just
scared. The scary thing.
Why would you be scared about anything coming from? I mean, anything that's coming out that's not George Lucas.
I'm
'cause
always scared
He
about
definitely
Star
didn't
Wars
do-
things coming out now. no
Disney
matter
and J.J.
what.
Abrams sounds like a fucking fantastic combination.
Okay,
for Star
no,
Wars.
It sounds like
but
lots
weird
of money
thing about
with- and a lot of talent.
so J.J. Abrams is going to do Star Trek and Star Wars now. He's just monopolizing all of
Yes.
sci-fi.
You know
like-
why? Because he does it fucking
I
good.
love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. Those are two completely different flavors that don't
I
taste
don't
great
know.
together.
That last Star
Like,
Trek one was pretty Star Warsy.
That is true. You know why I know
I mean,
that?
but that's also pretty.
You know why I know that?
Pretty.
Because I don't like Star Trek, and I love the last Star Trek movie.
What?
You don't like
I
old
love-
shit, Nick.
That's what I'm
know,
saying.
that's-
Like,
no,
you didn't
that-
grow up
that
watching
is-
Next Generation.
That
though.
is
Trust me,
the
hey,
biggest fear I have is that they're
That
going
is
to
a
turn
terrible
Star Trek
accusation to
into
make
Star
because
Wars.
I tried watching Star Trek before, and it was not the fact that it was old. It was just it did not appeal to me.
But there's so much of it. You gotta. A lot of hardcore Star Trek fans grew up watching the Next Generation. You didn't, and that's why you're not into it.
Probably not.
Yep.
But I mean, all that stuff's on Netflix now, right?
Yeah.
It's all-
Next Generation is.
Next Generation, original series,
Oh, it is now?
Enterprise.
It wasn't for a while.
Original
Deep Space,
series, you don't
Deep Space.
necessarily. Original series, you go back for the lulls. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, definitely.
The original series
I
one
would-
is like the new remastered ones they've been doing,
Oh,
so
okay,
all the
okay,
special
okay.
effects are kind of like, ugh, whatever. Like they look better than they did in terms of like technology and quality, but that's not why you watch old Star Trek.
They just
anymore.
thrown some
Have
new
you gone
tauntauns.
back?
Yeah.
Have you like watched the Wrath of Khan?
Yeah, they extended that scene going into
no.
Mos Eisley.
If anything, I'd probably watch some of the more recent movies. Maybe
What do you mean?
like not the
The
ones.
Next Generation, more recent movie.
Like
I guess
First
no, no, no,
Contact
no.
and Insurrection.
Yeah, maybe those.
First Contact is
Nemesis.
I don't care what anybody said.
Is that what
First
you-
Contact.
Is that
is
one
like
bad?
my favorite.
Have you seen Red Letter Media's review?
No. Everyone likes the part where Data jumps out in space. Star Trek.
Anyway.
Anyways, I think that does it for news. We can probably move on. Community stuff. I guess you're about ready to go for that. Before we move on to that, I'll just once again say if you're sticking around on the feed, be sure to tune in afterwards. We're going to be playing God of War Ascension on the feed. And PAX next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. We'll be there in Boston. And this weekend, Brad, you want to give out the details for Horror Week? I mean, not all the specifics as far as
Well, I don't know what's
times.
going on Friday now.
Well, don't worry about that. Just
Let's just say we're going to start Horror Week tomorrow night. Joseph's going to launch things off. He's going to be playing some Phantasmagoria 2 for Way Back Wednesday.
it's a very Joseph game.
That's going to start at 8 p.m. Central Time. On Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Carlos is going to be playing The White Day.
The fuck? What is
See,
Racist.
these are the kinds of games that we're going to be playing. You know,
We still need to find out what I'm going to be playing. I'm broadcasting Friday night. I don't know what I'm going to play yet.
the White Day is a pretty like it's a very scary game, but it's an old PC game. I think it's Korean or whatever that got fan translated, and you're alone in like this old like Japanese school, and there's a dude and he's looking for you, and that's all I know of the game. But if you've
Sounds
ever
scary.
if you've ever seen me play a little bit of that game, what was it called, the Blackwell game or whatever, where there's like a dude looking for me and I was hiding in a little bookcase or like an armoire or whatever, and it was like super fucking tense, and there's so much dread I could barely take it. Like White Day is very much like that as well.
that's
So definitely look forward to that on Thursday. Friday,
I'll be playing something horror game.
Nick's going to be playing something. We're actually looking for suggestions that will very specifically fit Nick. I mean, he doesn't have to be a console because he can play all these PC mods or games.
I would like it to be PC actually because
He has a gaming PC.
most
so.
stuff that I've played so far that's horror based have been on consoles.
Yeah,
so.
he can run anything on a PC. See, the PC indie space, the mod scene, that's where you're going to find some of the really, really scary stuff
Yeah.
that's out there these days. On Saturday, I guess we haven't officially hammered it down the details yet, but what we're going to try to do around, I don't know, 6 or 7 Central Time is try to get the Hidden going.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The Hidden, it's some sort of cooperative PC or
kinda cooperative.
sort of a multiplayer scary game. I don't know.
It's essentially one person is invisible and the other people are cooperatively trying to take out the invisible person
While he's taking them out.
while he's taking them out. So you're basically being hunted by the predator,
Yeah.
and you're trying to take him out, which
Or Kevin Bacon.
or Kevin Bacon.
And afterwards,
No, it's more Predator because you can jump up to the ceilings and the rafters and stuff. Kevin Bacon couldn't do that.
That is true. He could.
How do you know? And could you see him?
Yes.
Maybe he was jumping up there and hanging around the rafters and then jump back down.
By the way,
I don't know.
no one.
afterwards.
So you know,
probably
Wait.
didn't happen.
Afterwards, at 10 p.m. Central Time, I'll be playing Ill Bleed on the Dreamcast. If you've watched Trailer Talk, you've seen the trailer for this game. It's a horror game, but it's kind of strange. So that's
we'll just leave it at that.
Strange
yeah.
By the way, Nolan, I am on to you.
Okay.
Remember the day that you pooped in my bed? You drew the picture of the
Yes,
poop.
yes. Poop in bed.
And then I got on my computer that night,
Okay.
and I opened my laptop. I can see you already trying to hide a smile. The fucking image from what's the game we were playing? I'm Scared.
I'm scared.
On my desktop,
It was?
on my laptop. I've never played the game on my laptop, bro.
The day I drew the poop on your bed, I just went in there and I put the poop in the bed.
Also, Horror Week does not end on Saturday. We're going to be playing horror games through next Thursday, leading up to PAX. So
Tell your friends.
every night I'm going to put out another video when we know what's going on exactly next week. But be excited. Show up every night. We're going to be playing cool stuff.
And
Scary games.
Just so you know, last community thing before we move on to community questions and stuff like that. We put up the shirt today for our new our new unofficial slogan, which is not a porn site. You can find it on the store at 4playernetwork.com. The store is still under construction, but we're trying to get the shirt up before PAX, so you can head over there and purchase a shirt now if you want, with the hashtag not a porn site on there. It's a pretty cool looking shirt. Go check it out if you want. And anything else community-wise?
There's a coupon.
Oh, yeah. There's
A Groupon.
A free shipping code for the site. It's Easter 2013. I don't know if it has to be all caps. But then if you purchase 2 or more items from the store, you get free shipping.
cool.
Yeah.
With Easter 2013.
So check that out. And now I guess Nolan's going to take us away with chatter for the week. And then
I'm going to take us away with community.
Oh, fine. Community, Nolan.
It was a good show.
Yeah, this week in the community.
Take me away.
Okay. Me and Brad are going to go now, apparently. So subscriber of the month, just to let y'all know, is Ranger XT. The game he chose for us to be playing is Bioshock. Which I have been playing. I'm like maybe a third of the way done with the game. I forgot how massive that game is, how much there is to do in it.
It's pretty crazy.
It
Oh
is
my god, Bioshock Infinite comes out the day we get back from PAX.
Yep. Pretty excited. All right, so chatter of the week. This week, chatter of the week is when we pit 2 chatters against each other.
With no logical...
They send
reason.
in their most shameful secret, their greatest gaming achievement, and their top 5 games of all time, and we pit them against each other. So today's first chatter is George from Detroit. Meltdown in chat.
Meltdown.
His shameful secret is, as much as I like Final Fantasy games,
Here we go again.
the only one I have played and beaten from start to finish with myself at the controller the entire time was Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, there we go.
Bleh.
That's a pretty common...
My one brother sold his SNES after Kefka destroyed the world in Final Fantasy VI. I couldn't get past how bad I thought Final Fantasy VII story was, Disc 2 to be exact.
Really? What?
I've seen the entirety of Final Fantasy IX beaten. My eldest brother beat it. Blah, 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 blah. I've gotten through 3 copies of Final Fantasy X. They kept getting scratched.
Oh,
30 hours of Final Fantasy 12, but no PS2 to finish it on.
I feel like we've done Meltdown.
and I haven't got.
No, he read them last week.
Last week there were 2. Last week's were both about Final Fantasy 13.
People really hate that game.
And I haven't really dug into Final Fantasy Tactics on the PS3 yet. So his shameful secret is Final Fantasy 13 is the only Final Fantasy game he's beaten.
And also that he thought Final Fantasy VII was bad because of the story.
His greatest gaming achievement, defeating the Lich King in World of Warcraft.
Lich King.
Lich King? Lich. What is that?
Yeah, it's a villain. It's not Lynch. Lich.
No, I thought I was misreading it. In World of Warcraft with my guild, while it might not be the most skillful gaming achievement I've ever done, it certainly gave me the biggest high I've ever had while gaming. I had known my guild for 2 years at the point. like a second family, and we had been working on killing the Lich King for 3 weeks. So when we finally went down, and with the way the fight ends, it was the best feeling in the world. My guild certainly made it better, as we still play together going on 5 years now, and even meet yearly at San Diego for Comic-Con.
That's cool.
So defeating the Lich King is his greatest gaming achievement. His top 5 games of all time. Number 5, Witchcraft 2. Jesus, I can't read. Warcraft 2.
It's like, I've never heard of Witchcraft.
Tides of Darkness. I don't know. Number 4, Dragon Age Origins. Number 3, Burnout 3 Takedown. Number 2, Final Fantasy 9. And
Wait,
number
wait,
1.
Wait,
He said.
wait a second.
Well, he said he played.
He said he watched someone play through and beat Final Fantasy 9.
He probably played a little bit, right?
But that's what he's saying. He's saying
We'd
Final
have to
Fantasy 13 is
assume,
the
right?
only game he's held the controller the whole time and beaten
Right.
it.
Just for the benefit of the doubt, we'll say
Okay.
he played some of it.
Because he can't do that if he just watched somebody play the entire game.
He
Just saying. Anyways, go on. Number 1. The suspense is killing me, Nolan.
Number 1 is No One Lives Forever.
That's a game I'm sad to say I have not played, but I know I should have.
It's a Monolith game.
Especially considering how much I like Monolith
Yep.
and Condemned.
All right, and George is going up against Joseph from Amsterdam, New York. Red Unit 10 in chat.
Red Unit 10.
His shameful secret. Let me preface this secret by saying I do not claim to have any waifus.
What?
Brad, waifus are like,
What?
I'm not David.
No one's like, I'm realizing this as I'm talking to you now.
Well, didn't you mention that last week on?
No, I think it's like I think it's like it's like a chick that you
Are we gonna have to Urban
that
Dictionary?
you want to
this?
marry,
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
but like
I guess
but,
if you
but,
finish
but
reading,
you like don't even
if
know
I finish
her,
reading this, that might answer it.
but you don't even know her.
Yeah.
In what context?
Well, the context is, I don't claim to have any waifus, but if I could marry any girl in a video game, it would have been Tali Zora from Mass Effect series, from the Mass Effect series.
That's
well,
sweet.
about a year after Mass Effect 2 came out, I've been going through a bit of a depression, but I had a way of cheering myself up was to pop in Mass Effect 2, go to my shepherd's quarters, and call Tali up to his room. I would then just leave the game on Tali and Shepard laying together in bed hugging. Never failed to make me happy.
Wow.
I'm with him. Keep going.
His greatest gaming achievement. Defeating King Midas in Record of Agarist War. This is a boss
What?
you encounter in the 3rd generation while playing the game, and I swear to God, I nearly broke my controller over this guy. He has an attack that will wipe out your entire party in one hit, regenerates more health than you can knock off, and won't give you a fucking break for nothing. When I finally defeated him on my 7th or so try, 7th doesn't seem like a lot, I let out a bloody roar like never before and woke up everyone in the house doing so. That's his greatest gaming achievement.
His greatest gaming achievement comes from Record of Agarist War. Do you remember which game that is?
Yeah.
The game on the box that has all the girls.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
suggestive.
There's a lot of games like that.
Yeah, but
Magna Carta.
one girl had like ice cream on her face.
Oh, yeah.
Was it vanilla?
And that's the one that came with the boob mouse pad when you pre-ordered
yeah,
it.
yeah, I remember.
The one that Joseph has.
Yep. His top 5 games of all time.
Sure, it's
Number
not
5.
Record of Lotus.
No, it's Record of Agarist War.
There's a lot of record of
Records.
This one, the
Many
one with the
records.
semen, is Agarist
Yes.
War.
Top 5 games. Number 5. Portal 2. I was not expecting that backstory at the time.
Portal 1 better be in his top 4.
Number 4. Bioshock 2. Little sisters are adorable.
Picking all the wrong sequels.
Number 3. Mass Effect
3.
Shut the fuck up.
2. Still the greatest game in the series.
Nope.
Number 2.
Wait, what are you gonna say is the best? In the
He's going to
series?
say 1.
We've had the
We've had
conversation
this
so many
discussion.
times.
I don't know.
Number 2. Lost Odyssey.
2.
No game has ever made me cry so much.
I'm guessing it's probably from the dream sequences. Those are terrifying.
Number
That's
1.
sad.
Deus Ex Human Revolution. Deep story, awesome stealth mechanics, and it's also pretty.
Pretty gold.
So,
pretty gold.
Pretty yellow.
Yeah, yellowish brown.
pretty moldy.
So George versus Joseph. George was the Final Fantasy 13, the Lich King, and Warcraft, Dragon Age, Burnout 3, Final Fantasy 9, No One Lives Forever. and Joseph was the
Portal 2.
the waifus, the defeating King Midas, and the Portal 2, Bioshock 2, Mass Effect 2, Lost Odyssey, and Deus Ex.
I'm gonna give it to Joseph because his stuff was more shameful and interesting and awe-inspiring
Brad?
than George's.
The second guy.
Joseph.
The second guy.
Joseph.
As a fellow fan of Tali Zora, I'm gonna give it to Joseph.
All right.
As a fellow
I'll
fan
give it
of
to
Tali
Joseph.
Zora.
Because
So by unanimous vote, Joseph, you were this week's chatter of the
You
week.
can thank Tali for that.
Red Unit 10 in chat. I don't know if you can
Congratulations,
chat right
Red
now.
Unit 10. You are Chatter for the Week, episode 309. You win nothing except our praise.
So, this week's subscriber of the week, since I finally got one again, we're going to have to change how this works because none of them were responding, is Travis from Greenville, Tennessee.
Greenville,
Fat
Tennessee.
Trav 13 in chat.
I think he's in chat. I think he called me out a little
Travis
while ago.
usually is.
Yep,
Fat
there he
Trav's-
is.
yeah,
Fat
he-
Trav. Fat Trav 13
I
called
thought
me
it was
out.
Fat Rav.
That's I always thought too, until he explicitly capitalized the T, the second T. I think at one
That
point
means it's louder.
I always knew it was Trav, but I still called him Fat Rav. So he's currently playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Castlevania HD, and hopefully tomorrow, since he sent this to me today, he'll start playing Aliens Infestation.
Oh.
God, I was worried he was going to say Castlevania. By the way, I stopped playing that crappy game. I got to the... You get to a point where there's a new character. That new character was Alucard. We've all played Symphony of the Night, right? Alucard. Guess what?
don't look at me like that.
No, I haven't.
He's the exact same character as Simon Belmont.
Really?
Meaning he uses a whip too with the same fucking combos. just his sub weapons are different. His two sub weapons are different.
That's silly.
Fucking Alucard with a whip. That's lazy and shitty. And I just said
All right.
fuck this.
How?
Do you remember Aliens Infestation at PAX?
So this is how.
At PAX when they were demoing Colonial Marines, but we kept going back to the Sega booth, and you had to go up to the guy at the media counter and be like, "Hey, I heard you'll have a demo for Aliens Infestation," and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, hold on a second." He'd go open his drawer underneath this thing and pull out a DS and pull it out of his pocket and pop it in. There you go. That was how you got the
You're
demo.
the first people who've asked for this.
And pretty much. And that game was. We were talking about that more than we were talking about Colonial Marines.
For good reason.
It's a lot better too.
So, how Travis got into gaming? I would have to say The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time helped me get into gaming. I did play the other games with my older brother growing up, but they didn't really get me into gaming. But Ocarina of Time's story, addicting gameplay, and the dungeons opened my eyes to video games.
Nick, you
Hold
can't
on.
go a fuck yes to Ocarina of Time because it's like one of the most beloved games of all time. When he says, my favorite game is Phantom Dust, that's like, oh fuck yes, because no one knows about Phantom Dust. And Ocarina of Time is not a fuck yes.
It is a fuck yes.
But it's not. It's like Beatles, fuck yes, man, Beatles, they rock. Does anybody else know about them? Sorry.
Yeah, I know the other Legend of Zelda
Brad,
games
fuck
are
you.
enjoyable. He knows the other ones are enjoyable, but at the time I didn't get to play the others because my brother had to be a jackass and sell his NES, and also no one else in my family was into action-adventure games. I also wasn't the greatest at playing video games, and Ocarina of Time helped me get better. So that's how he got into gaming. His best gaming moment. My best gaming moment was when I completed the game Ocarina of Time. I was around 8 years old when I played Ocarina of Time.
God.
He really likes Ocarina of Time. Around that time, I have never beaten a game, but because I would either be bored or just be apathetic to beat the game I was playing. Ocarina of Time was the first game I have ever beaten, and just that feeling of seeing the ending was astonishing. I'll never forget how excited I was when I beaten it.
When you beat it.
When I finished the game, and irritating my family and friends because of me not shutting up about it.
I still remember the moment I put the sword back in the stone and walked away.
Was that a sex reference?
Yes.
His top 5 games of all time. Number 5, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. Number 4, Bioshock. Number 3, Super Castlevania 4.
Brad gives out a fart.
Number 2, Dark Souls. Number 1, anybody?
Ocarina of Time.
There you go. They got it. Ocarina of Time. All right. Thank you, Fat Trav. You are subscriber of the week. By the way, if you want to be chatter of the week or in the running for it, send me an email, Nolan Hedstrom at 4playernetwork.com with the chatter for the week in the subject. Be sure to include your name, where you're from, your most shameful secret, your greatest gaming achievement, and your top 5 games of all time.
And we will pitch you against somebody else arbitrarily.
Yep.
For our amusement.
For our amusement.
So, viewer questions. This week, viewer questions. The first one comes from William from Arkansas. Quintech in chat.
Somewhere in Arkansas.
Yep. 2 weeks ago, Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires released exclusively on the PSN in North America. This niche status of the title in North America led to this digital-only release as well as text-only translation. It keeps the original Japanese voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the future of Japanese niche titles? Also, because of the more cost-effective nature of this type of release, can we expect new games to reach America via this method? Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
Yes.
As by definition of being niche.
Well, I think
Probably,
I think that's the
right?
easiest way. A lot of the times, yes, games won't get a full release over here.
Back in the
because
day,
they're-
niche Japanese titles were the games you had to import.
Well, yeah, they didn't even get released over
And
here.
yeah,
and so now with the ability of the PlayStation Network, it is easier. And the fact is, you don't even have to, a lot of the times, let the game get released over here. You can create a Japanese PSN account.
Yep.
And you can just, a lot of the time, the games, you won't be able to make
Understand them.
Yeah, make sure it's a game that you can understand.
But for a company is much more likely to invest in the game, in the development or the localization of a game, if they have the option of releasing it as a digital format and not having to worry about the overhead cost of producing discs and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it has a built-in benefit to it by doing it that way. And depending on the success of games like Dynasty Warriors 7 in that scenario, will dictate whether that happens a lot more in the future. But I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we're starting to see it's even games like Xenoblade and what are the other two that I'm thinking of?
Last story.
Pandora's Tower, which comes out in April.
Yeah, it's like those games, those aren't digital, but those are coming over here because of a heavy push from fans. So with a heavy push combined with the ability to release on digital, it seems like it'd be kind of illogical for them not to do that.
Agreed. All right, next question comes from Tapalo. I don't know his name or where he's from the forums. He asks like 18 questions every week.
Yes.
But
they're pretty good sometimes.
Usually at least one of them's he takes the I'm not going to ask one question and hope it gets picked. I'm going to take the scattershot approach and ask 15 questions and hopefully one of them gets picked.
Well, it's paying off for him, apparently.
It is.
Because we've done it twice in a row now.
Why do you believe that Western developers are unwilling to put their open world games in a non-US setting? Is it a fear that the game won't sell well? Is it a lack of familiarity with the foreign cities and cultures?
Examples?
Remember that Sleeping Dogs, which has a Hong Kong setting, was originally canceled. Here's the list. Fallout 3 was DC. Fallout New Vegas, Las Vegas. GTA 3, New York. GTA 4, New York. GTA 5, LA. GTA San Andreas, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco. GTA Vice City, Miami. LA Noire, Los Angeles. Mafia, based on numerous U.S. cities. Mafia 2, numerous U.S. cities. Red Dead Redemption is Texas for the most part, a little bit of Mexico.
Yeah, but it still looks...
It looks exactly the same. True Crime was Los Angeles. True Crime 2 was New York. Watch Dogs is Chicago. So
okay, I was about
where did
Fallout
Skyrim take
Fallout 4 Fallout 4 is rumored to be set in Boston. So I mean, yeah, a lot of Western developers, and I do think it is because of the fact that they're not familiar with those other places, and it's probably cheaper and easier just because, hey, I can walk down the street and take some pictures.
No, but because look at Assassin's Creed.
Hold on. Assassin's Creed's mostly not developed. A lot of them aren't developed in the U.S. A lot of them are
Canada.
like that's not the U.S. And a lot of them
But
are
it's not
developed in
like
France.
Close enough.
It's not like
Like-
those games take place in Canada.
Ubisoft, like
Right.
Montreal and stuff like that.
Yeah, but look at the amount
Or
of
not
research.
Montreal.
and-
what's their French company? I don't know. They have a bunch of
Ubisoft
locations.
Montreal. Oh,
Montreal's Canada.
Paris.
Yeah,
they have one in
Paris.
Australia. and
But anyway,
Paris.
so he's saying for the most part, and I do think it's easier just to when Bethesda was making Fallout 3, I've watched a lot of the videos. Yeah, they just literally went to DC and were like, shh.
The thing is,
What was that company that was in somewhere in Europe, and they were researching for a game, and then they got like arrested?
oh, that was in. They were in fucking like Korea or something.
Okay, so whatever.
No.
Wait, where? What was it?
Oh,
Bohemia
Yeah,
Interactive.
interactive. But where were they?
Czech
Greece,
Republic?
Czech Republic.
Yeah, I think it was the Czech Republic. Yeah, and they were there to take photos, and then they
for Arma.
Yeah, for
Well,
Arma.
no, they don't know.
Whatever it was for.
There was no
and
official-
then they thought they're spies, so they arrested them and they got put in jail and stuff like that. It's a lot easier
Greece.
to make a game that's 100 miles away and based on there.
Here's two-
I think that's one of the big reasons.
Two minor
why.
holes to two very minor. I mean, this is not his argument does have is legitimate, but I will say two big franchises he called out specifically are Fallout and Grand Theft Auto. Fallout draws a lot of its aesthetic from like
50s
US
like
culture,
that
exactly.
Americana.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, at its core, is essentially commentary on U.S. culture, American culture.
But that's what he's saying. Like they chose to make a game.
This
that
isn't
was
just
based on-
this isn't really just a thing that's just video games too. I mean, look at most movies. A lot of movies take place in America. Like, I wonder why.
Well,
Like,
I think it's. I think it's just a case of that's because that's what we know.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
a lot of it might have to do with it's easier to develop a game base and something you're familiar with, but there are the developers that go out and do
Do you
an
think-
extensive amount of research.
Do you think in the
There's a
creative
lot of
process
games
that's
in
even?
the Middle East too.
Yeah.
Do you think in the creative process that's even like a question though? Do you think somebody comes forward and says like, "All right, you play this guy in New York," and nobody's ever like, "Why is it New York?"
Why not
Like-
China?
Like why doesn't it take place in Munich or something?
That's
I
good.
don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Why doesn't it take place in
It is an
Turkey?
interesting question, but
Why not Turkey?
Yeah, why not Turkey?
Why not Kazakhstan?
I don't know. Do people tell stories about Kazakhstan?
All right. Next question.
Borat.
Damien from Mississippi.
It took place in America.
Damien from Mississippi. Cool Chrono in chat. Mike, it's kind of a long question. My question to you guys is, what? Hold on. I was just kind of looking through it. Like, what interactivity do you want to see next generation with consoles, tablets, and smartphones, PCs, etc., kind of like that? The world is becoming a lot more connective. And it
Is that the question?
No. For example, I was thinking about Watch Dogs at work because it's spring break and no
That's
one's
going to
here.
have some connectivity, by the way, I'm sure.
I was wondering if Ubisoft could. No, Ubisoft, they're going to do anything good. Could implement an app for smartphones and tablets that enables you to hack anyone else with the same app on their phone. Therefore, has an impact with your game. An example is, let's say I need money in my game, but I have to go to class or something. So I'm in public, and my phone alerts me that someone is nearby that I can hack for currency. The phone then goes into a mini hacking game, Deus Ex style, where I hack the nearby phone. Their phone alerts them that they're getting hacked, and this person has a few seconds to counter my hack. Kind of like, you're literally interacting with other people around the world.
I would say that's a pretty
Let's say
brilliant
when I
idea.
win, I count and I go back home to my PS4 or my PC or whatever, and my account is updated with the money that I stole earlier. Imagine this with weapons, outfits, whatever the game lets you have in your inventory. Since I'm a CS major, I like thinking about programming these things. I like thinking about programming things like this. Can you think of some examples? By the way, great podcast. Keep it up.
You know what? There was a game that did something not quite as in depth as that, but the same basic philosophy. And I remember that being pretty widely panned.
Which game?
Mass Effect 3.
But that wasn't exactly.
Wait,
That
what?
that contributed to your galactic preparedness in the
Because
game
they
and
did
was
it
part
in
of
a
the core
shitty
gameplay.
way.
And that's also because it directly had a direct impact on the way your story played out, right? Am I correct?
Yes, it could. You could make, because you
But
had
what
to
I
have
mean-
that galactic readiness thing
But
by
I
the
mean-
end. And if you did it on the smartphone or tablet, it was easier to be ready. You didn't have to do as much in the game.
At the time, a lot of the arguments against it, though, weren't necessarily how it was implemented. It wasn't that like, oh, I wish the mechanics of that app were a little more refined, had a little more depth to them. It was more the idea that there was an app for a game that you had to buy to more.
The app was
get
free.
Well, you had to download or whatever.
Yeah.
That you had to have access to. You had to have a smartphone to use.
You didn't have to, though.
Well, I mean, but that
just made it easier.
That was like kind of. I feel like that was a lot of the fear that was coming out of a lot of the negativity.
I think
from
also
it.
in regards to Mass Effect 3, I think a lot of people were upset by other aspects of that game, and they
Mass
were
Effect
they
had
were
a lot
Okay.
bigger
they were
problem.
already
That's true.
they were already
looking for things.
Did you
to-
play it?
Yeah, the Mass Effect, the mission,
Whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play it a lot?
I mean, not really because I couldn't get it so far.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was a horrible app. It was atrocious. It was bad. I did not
it
have
was-
fun using it.
It was bad, but I don't know. Do you think that memories of things like that would prevent
I think
I don't think not enough people remember
people
it.
from trying it again?
I think the world is becoming more connected. I think, especially what they were saying with the PS4 connecting with the Vita, doing stuff like that. Connecting with smartphones.
Hell, what if you could just do it on your Vita? You didn't have to have it wasn't on your phone.
Microsoft Glass, is that what it's called? Microsoft Glass.
Smart Glass.
Is it Smart Glass?
I think
Oh,
so.
That's the
Glass.
That's the connectivity. I thought Smart Glass was the thing on your eye.
No, it was like a pad. Wasn't it? It was supposed-
That's Google Glass. Thank you. Yeah, so that connectivity is coming. They're trying to connect tablets with consoles. So why would it be so far fetched to connect tablets with each other? I mean, the DS has Street Pass already.
Yeah.
You can interact with like
I
that.
don't think it's
I don't think it's far fetched, and I would be excited by stuff like that. The ability to, in games like Watch Dogs or Deus Ex or something, to hack other people.
I think it would
I'm
be,
just saying, I think it's a cool idea, but when it actually happens, I feel like there's going to be a lot of.
I think the
I
key
think
is
there's going to be trepidation in the gaming
the
community.
key
about
is
that kind
the
of
key
thing.
is I think is making it not have a fundamental impact.
Well, yeah,
on other,
you don't have to do it. Is the thing. It's something that could aid. You can get maybe some secret like weapon that you couldn't get otherwise if you hack 50 people and you're successful in doing that. Something that doesn't extensively change the game, but it could add extra
And
benefits.
it could even be something. It could even be addicting if it was something as simple as like Street Pass is something that you don't have to do. You don't do anything.
Right.
It just does it for you because of the proximity between your device and someone else's. Right. I mean, something as simple as that, I would be addicted to every hour, just like checking my phone or whatever, and just seeing if I got anything new like that. Feeling like I'm still having an impact on my game, making progress, doing stuff that will benefit me later. It kind of makes me feel like I'm still playing the game even when I'm not. I think the first game I think we're really going to see this in is going to be Destiny because they're already talking about that. If you watch that video documentary they did about the game, there are straight up shows them talking about it.
Nick,
What?
you are my density.
My density
I
has
mean,
popped me to you.
My destiny.
Okay.
All right, Brad, do you have any thought? I mean, you've been super quiet today.
Tomb Raider.
Anyway, a couple of quickies. Daniel from California, Dano in chat. Who or what is your favorite protagonist and or antagonist of either the current or last generation? It doesn't have to be a main hero or villain. Just somebody.
Oh my god.
Just real quick, just think of somebody. It doesn't have to be your number one. Just quick.
Uh.
I was just thinking, I'm like, Nathan Drake. I really enjoyed his character.
A good hero or villain?
Or villain. Anybody. It didn't have to be main character. It could be Sully from... it could be fucking... I don't know.
Dante!
What?
I like that character.
Ow, that was
Oh
really
my
loud.
God,
that
if you
was-
ever do that again with the mic, I'll kill you.
Sorry, I might have to edit that out.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I thought that was a
It's
great...
funny if that's what you went to.
Nick's not going to edit anything.
No.
It could
Man,
be...
you can just look at the wall.
It could be like a little sister. Yeah, just look around. Oh, I love little sisters. Oh, I love.
I mean, that's not-
I love Penguin from.
He's not my favorite, but he did
I
pop into my
like
head.
Jade from Beyond Good and Evil.
There you go.
I
I like Bonnie from Red Dead Redemption.
This is quick.
Let's
You're
just
doing
look
too
around.
many.
Oh,
Doing too
sorry.
many. Chris, what's one?
Ezio.
Ezio. Excellent. All right,
What?
moving on.
He's cool.
Peter from Houston, Texas,
Look at
Invader
that
Snark in chat. At the announcement of the PS4, Blizzard came out talking about how they were porting Diablo 3 to both the PS3 and the PS4, and that the PS3 version would be playable at PAX. My question is, do you think that they will let players on current gen be able to play with players on next gen? And if so, will
Yes.
this hurt sales of the PS4 when people see that they can play the same game on a console they already own?
Yes, of course it'll all be connected,
Yes and no.
right? Because
Yeah.
they want the largest community possible so they can make the most money off of real.
But
auction
that's
house-
up
real
to
sale auction
that's up to
houses.
Sony, not up to Diablo. And not up to Blizzard if they can. It's Sony's decision if they want their current console to be able to play with the old console. I mean, you've never been able to do that before. You've never been able to connect old consoles. I mean, the only time you've ever been able to connect a console to not another of the same console is Portal 2.
Well,
When PS3 and Steam.
that's not entirely true. Final Fantasy 11,
Eh.
Xbox 360, PC, PS2.
And besides that.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
I think
it hasn't been a bit.
It's just by the time a console has spread, it's very timing related. But when you have something that lasts as long as it does, like Diablo 3, I'm sure will.
Yeah, of course.
Then it will span. It's interesting. It will span more than one console.
But the thing is, it's up to Sony if they want to make that available to players. If they want to take the time to program the ability for the PS3 to connect to the PS4. I don't know how complicated PS4's new system is going to be. It could just be really easy and they let you do it, but I don't know.
I think it's going to be a lot hard. Oh, it's hard to say because they're already saying there's no backwards compatibility. They're already saying that there's rumors that the online service for the PS4 will be paid versus free like the PS3. So there's already a lot of differences there.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
You could still play Final Fantasy 11 on your PS2.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd. Okay. We need to wrap up the show. Carlos has arrived, and we're about ready to play God of War Ascension.
Y'all excited for God of War Ascension? This is Carlos. This is probably going to be multiplayer.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm actually more curious about what the multiplayer is than the fucking single
Wait, there's
player.
multiplayer in this game?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the
that-
first thing they showed.
That's like all
That's the whole thing. It's about multiplayer.
All the
know
pre-order bonuses are multiplayer centric.
House hands.
He can't play a guitar because his hands are houses.
Why are you offended that I think the name of a band you like is funny? You have no right to be offended.
I'm not
It
offended.
doesn't involve you at all.
Fuck you, bro.
I just...
You just flipped me off. Of course you're offended.
You always find ways to make fun of me.
What? I found the name of a band you like funny. Not even like in a negative way. I just laughed. And you somehow got offended. Maybe you twist everything into somehow offending you.
Maybe you're right.
Okay.
Go.
What's our
4-player minute. Hype, shame, sweat, fuck.
Okay, one game I'm hyped. Here's what I'm hyped about. I'm hyped about playing old fucking games. I even debated on making April just a no new game month. Fuck all new games. I'm not playing anything new. I'm not playing anything
Wait,
came out
in April?
this year or next year or last year or whatever the fuck. I'm just gonna play old shit.
Because he's just going to play Bioshock the whole month.
And one of the things I'm hyped about is I got Thief 2. I finally got the windowed mode patch, 1920 by 1080. I'm gonna be playing Thief 2 on the feed soon. Excited about that. My sweat is horror week. Y'all are like, well, Brad's playing a horror game. But one, I get scared really easily. That stuff really does bother me. Two, a lot of horror games, especially the ones I played, tend to just be bad games. And at a certain point, I just like, I can't tolerate this. Like with The Grudge. That game scared the shit out of me. But at some point, when one bad motion QTE can make you restart the entire level, I was like, I can't tolerate this bad game design. So I stopped it. So I'm worried about stuff like that, especially when I'm going to be playing Illbleed this weekend. Who knows? My fuck you goes to old PC games / broadcasting them. PC gaming these days is not hard. But going back to play older PC games is hard. But going back to play old PC games and getting them into a broadcastable form is fucking hair-pulling annoying. So, like I tried getting Heretic 2 running in Windows 7 64-bit, and getting into a broadcastable form. I don't even know because, I'm like browsing it, the Google, and they say, oh, well, just do this to install, Heretic 2. Go into the bin folder on the CD, and I'm looking, there's no bin folder. I'm like,
It's probably hidden. If you Alt and you click on Tools, you can show hidden folders.
Brad, did you just...
that's what you think, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Did you just say looking on the Google? Searching on the Google? Searching on the Google?
Yeah,
The Googles.
Isn't that what you do?
Okay, anyways, 4-player minute. You got
My shame is still not. There's so many good handheld games out right now, and it's really a shame that
And there's more coming.
like I've not even played that much Fire Emblem in the past week. It's shameful that I've just completely ignored the new Etrian Odyssey, the new Monster Hunter that's coming out next week. I'm probably gonna ignore, Luigi's Mansion. I'm probably not gonna play. I just don't have the time, and I feel bad about that. So
Yeah, Brad, you should laugh at that band's name. I like that band.
what?
I wrestled a bear once. He didn't even laugh at that one.
Seems a bit
What an
contrived.
asshole. You're an asshole. Brad.
It's not band names that bother me. I used to really like a band called "And You Will Know Us by the Trail of
Bar
Dead." ... That was the name. That's the worst fucking name ever. But I like the band. I just laughed because the name was funny. What's the name of the band?
Hands like houses.
Hands Like Houses. That's funny. Because I'm envisioning a dude whose hands are actually houses.
Are
Do
his
people live in
hands-
there? I don't know.
Are his hands
How does he
tiny
jack
houses,
off? He open
or, like,
windows?
Are his arms connected to 2 full-size houses and he can't move anywhere?
Oh my god!
Because his hands.
No,
are houses.
I'm envisioning miniature
Like,
houses.
Yeah, little
like
houses.
little doll houses or something.
Yeah.
Or he's a
I
giant.
think
with
everybody
regular
just
size
missed the
houses.
funniest joke I
No,
think
I
he's
heard
ever
it.
made ever.
I heard it.
Did
No.
you hear it?
Yeah. So my hype
Damn it. That was
is
good. That
is-
was good.
was also for Horror Week. I'm excited to play The Hidden. I've actually been wanting to play that game for a really
Oh,
long
wait,
time.
I just realized we're not going to both be able to play it at the same
we
time.
only have one PC in it.
Yeah. You want to get another one?
I mean, mine.
Y'all could just switch off. It's
Mine
fine.
might be able to run it. My laptop. I mean, it's based off of
Will my Mac run it?
Source.
Source.
That was only
Yeah.
half serious.
So Half-Life 2 engine, and I've played Half-Life 2 on my laptop, so my laptop might be able to run it. With the big might. That's my hype. I also don't know what horror game I'm going to be playing.
Well,
maybe.
he was debating on Condemned. But we broadcast Condemned a lot. If y'all have any good recommendations that you think would be a good fit for Nolan, he's open to anything.
That's
so.
the thing. Like anything. I've never played Condemned. I've always wanted to, so I would love to play it. But I mean, if I do know that, we've as 4-Player Podcast has broadcasted Condemned a lot. So if the community knows of any other horror games, I've most likely never played them. Feel free to give me some advice. So it's my hype, my sweat. Oh shit, I lost it. Hold on.
You lost it.
Oh yeah, my sweat is I don't know. It's been over a year, probably going on a year and a half since I played a handheld game. And like Brad was saying, there's so many good ones out, and there's so many good ones that I've just like left in the dust, just because I'm like, I don't want to buy a 3DS.
You don't want to open that door now?
Yeah, but I mean, like as soon as I open that door, there's like 20 games.
But see, you don't need to buy a new handheld system because the old handheld systems have dozens and dozens of awesome games that you probably not played.
No.
You know? Why play a new Fire Emblem when you could just play? Well,
Most new Fire
the other good
Emblem's
ones were on
pretty
GBA, but
I
but
do
you
have
know,
a GBA, but fat chance I'm going to find a game for cheap.
well,
Anyway,
I have a shit ton of GBA games if you want to borrow one.
my sweat is for PAX East. I don't know what's going to be there. I'm
Guessing some Dragon Age 3, maybe some Saints Row 4.
that'd be nice.
What? Dragon Age 3?
There's
That's not-
rumors, I think.
There's no rumors of Dragon Age 3.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor. I heard it somewhere that makes
It's
it
a rumor that there's a rumor.
He's putting the rumor out there.
I'm starting the rumor. I made an appointment today to play an unannounced Volition games. I am guessing that is Saints Row 4.
Dragon Age 3 might be at PAX East.
Anyway,
You never know.
my fuck you, and this could probably just be a permanent weekly thing, is going to go to Ubisoft. Because just, fuck them in so many different ways.
You sure about that? Not EA?
Both. I mean, my thing is, last Tuesday, March 5th, was supposed to be the release of South Park and the Stick of Truth.
Oh, okay.
Which was clearly completed. It was done. They had a date, but then Ubisoft was like, I'm going to snatch that up, and they're probably just busy filling it with shit tons of DRM bullshit. Oh, well, you want a potion? Pay $1. And so that's what I'm worried. Microtransactions up the ass. That's what I'm afraid of. That game probably was going to be perfect. I'm worried. So fuck you, Ubisoft. Fuck you.
Okay. Chris?
I could see them having a Dragon Age 3 panel.
That wasn't me, by the way. That was Brad talking.
Your Brad impression is getting really good.
Okay, my hype. Actually, my hype is for 2 different PC games. One of them I saw.
You only get to choose one. Sophie's choice.
Okay, fine. Okay, so in keeping with the theme of Horror Week, I myself am not actually broadcasting, but just for solidarity, I'm going to take this opportunity to pick up a System Shock 2 and play that.
That's a good one.
So I'm really excited about hearing about that. Brad's always had really nice things to say about that game. My sweat is for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. We saw that at South by on Sunday.
We saw
it. We tried to play it, but whatever. Anyway, it was
I consider myself
What do you
pretty...
mean you tried to play it?
I mean, it was just like there was like everyone who was at the gaming convention at South by was at the Nintendo booth, and it wasn't worth sticking around to actually.
I consider myself pretty good at waiting in long lines. At E3 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever, I stayed in line. I took the hit for the team. I sat in line for 3.5 hours to play God of War 3. Hey, we all decided that day, except for Brad, of course, because he's special and never does anything like that.
What?
We all go and sit in line to play something that we know we had to play. And I waited in line for God of War 3. But I was not going to wait in line while little kids fucking shoved by me for a fucking
Pretty
hour.
sure no one said you had to go play it. But you it was one of those things that you were like, I got to see this game.
Oh, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have chosen God of War 3. Turd.
But the reason why I'm sweating this game is because it's Monster Hunter. It's Capcom. It's, again, I've always said this, like, Monster Hunter is a franchise that I should be in love with, but, like, me and a Monster Hunter game have never matched
Have you
up
played
at
with
the
people?
right time. That's what I'm saying. I've never gotten my hands on a copy when there were actually, like, still people playing the game on the servers. Like, there's been a number of different reasons. I'm hoping that Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is going to be the one that is like the Monster Hunter experience I've been looking for. We'll see. My shame is that the only reason I haven't finished Tomb Raider by now is because I'm still just playing a shit ton of Fire Emblem. And not even really playing
Progress
through
the story. You're making the story just too easy.
No.
There's cool scenarios, and if you make it too easy,
I
it'll
did
be
like
annoying.
another 2 story missions, so I am farther along.
Okay.
But, I mean, still an incredible game, but I need to kind of put it down for a minute. And my fuck you goes to, well, first of all, just South by Southwest in general, just for the
Headache.
the weirdness of, like, just how this city loses its shit when South by comes to town.
It's true.
All kinds of weird people. Last week was out with my roommates. We ran into, like, we saw all sorts of things. We ran into a couple guys from Australia who were in town for the convention who were asking us for crack. We didn't have any, but they kept looking. The traffic is always just ridiculous. All of downtown is like blocked off and closed off, and it just, I don't know, it's crazy. I mean, it's a cool event, but it makes living here a bit of a challenge for a week. So
Grumpy Cat's in town.
yeah, okay.
And Nick.
Yeah, and me. My hype.
It's GTA 5.
No, it's not GTA 5.
Is the new Simpsons episode?
No.
Is Halo 5?
Shut up.
Let him finish.
My hype is for Bioshock Infinite.
Wait.
It's a little over 2 weeks away now, or actually, it's 2 weeks away now.
2 weeks from
permanently.
today.
That is, that's going to be pretty damn good, I think, and I am optimistic about it. My shame is that I have not played any Fire Emblem since last week. I think it'd actually be a safer bet that I won't finish that game as opposed to Ni no Kuni. I think I have a far higher chance of finishing Ni no Kuni.
Why?
Because it's on a console, and I never feel the need or urge to play handheld games at home.
Yeah, and that's my thing with handhelds is I used to play them all the time, but that's because I was always like riding the bus to class or in between classes and stuff like that. I can't really play them at work, and then when I get home, it's sometimes I'll play handhelds at home, but most of the time I don't. I want to play it all, like the 50,000 PC games I have access to or the console games.
Yeah.
I mean,
My sweat goes to Tomb Raider. Not once again. I'm really enjoying this game. I want that enjoyment to continue through the second half of the game, which I am entering now. More on a broader stroke, though, I am concerned about the future of the series in regards to its tomb raiding, which we talked extensively about. I think if it goes, they need to continue down this path, but they need to flesh out the tombs, put the puzzles back in there, and you could have one hell of a fucking game on your hands here. So, hoping we see more of this Tomb Raider, hope we see more of this Lara Croft, but hopefully with some of those elements that we all know and love from classic Tomb Raider in there. And my fuck you for the week goes to EA for obviously for Mirror's Edge.
For existing.
No, I was
is
gonna
it
say-
from Mirror's Edge?
for Mirror's Edge 2, yeah. Fuck those guys.
It's a good one.
Oh, and SimCity, yeah.
And SimCity.
Yeah,
And
fuck
Ron-
those
Would be a
guys.
bit more topical.
And Ron Gilbert left Double Fine.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Ron Gilbert left Double Fine. That's where we're going to end it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been another episode of 4 Player Podcast. Be sure to check out the site, 4playernetwork.com. If you're in Boston or you're going to be in the area for PAX, we'll see you there. We'll get I keep saying I'm going to get the community meetup details up in the forums. I'll make sure I get that done tonight.
So where are y'all going?
We don't know for sure yet, but I want to start getting a head count, and I know Jeff's contemplating some possible things for us to do while we're in
A
town.
couple years ago was cool.
I agree. I really like that place.
I'm excited to go to fucking Boston because I've never been there.
I think we should go again.
Boston.
What's all this Wii stuff? It's so annoying. I keep getting all these emails for appointments at PAX, and I'm just like,
Forward them to Nolan. He
please
needs them
stop
now.
sending them to me.
Forward them to Nolan when you get them.
And I've been reconfirmed for PAX. So
Oh,
y'all
I
must
got
have
that
screwed
e-
up something.
No, I got that email too. I got another email yesterday saying you've been approved for a media badge to PAX East. I was like, that's great because I bought my tickets 2 weeks ago because I thought you had already confirmed me.
PAX
Thank
is
you for
like,
clarifying.
No, you're going to PAX.
Yes, yes, Reborn. Me and Reborn and I think we're gonna try to get Gray Fox and Zocano in there. Are gonna be doing the Subscriber of the Month podcast
For Crash Bandicoot Warped.
for Crash Bandicoot Warped and another topic of Reborn's choosing. I could do it early or really late. So
We'll set that up after the show. Let me finish closing out.
Oh, I thought we were done.
No, not quite. Anyways, check out the site. It's 4playernetwork.com. You can find us on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. But most importantly, bookmark the site. Please visit us on a daily basis. Help support us. We'd really appreciate it. And I guess now we're going to go ahead and broadcast God of War Ascension with Carlos over at 4pp.tv. So we'll see you there.